Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto lived with Kami and Shinigami harem. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Linkkeyeblademaster30 and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. In a galaxy far away there was one man that had power, but not just any power, it was unlimited ultimate power for that he holds. He had complete power of the entire galaxy. This man's name is Lord Sidious, that knows the ways of the dark side of the force. He was also the emperor who had an army of clones who obeyed his every command. The emperor's throne room. The emperor was thinking while looking into the outer space. What shall I do? The emperor thought in his mind. I have grown old and I know that I am not going to live forever. I must find someone and to take my place as the new ruler of the empire. Flashback. Ever since Darth Vader betrayed me by throwing me down a pit to my death, I managed to survive by calling one of troops with the force to get a ship coming to his aid. As I escaped I watched my second Death Star destroyed with my own eyes. Some of my clone has survived, but I have less of an army. I commanded my stormtrooper to take me to the watery world of Kamino, where they have cloned my army. I have arrived to ask the leader of the facility to create a new army for me. He told me I was too old to run the clone army and said that I must find a new emperor to take control of the army. He was a fool thinking that I am too old to run my empire, but I was wrong. I stared to grow pain in my body and I knew that he was right. I must find someone to take my place. End of flashback. How in the galaxy am I going to find someone to take my place? I can't convene any GD to join the dark side since I command my army to kill all of the GD and now I running out of time. Just then 3 pillars of bright light shined near Sidious' throne. Lord Sidious covered his eyes with his arms trying not to see the bright light to make him go blind. When the 3 lights died down he saw 3 ladies that looked like goddess with equally enchanting beauty. The one in the middle has golden blonde hair with shining blue eyes. She has a perfect hergless figure with D-cup breast. Her outfit consists of a shoulderless white dress with long sleeves, a long skirt and white ninja sandals. She is Kami, goddess of light and order. The one to her right has jet pitch black hair with red eyes. She also has a perfect hergless figure with C-cup breast. Her outfit consists of a black tank top with black pants and black ninja sandals. She is Yami, goddess of darkness and chaos. The final one has silvery white hair and green eyes. Like the other 2, she has a perfect hergless and E-cup breast. Her outfit consists of an upper kimono with a light gray hakama and black ninja sandals. She is Shinigami, goddess of life and death. Who are you 3 and why have you come here? Asked the emperor, who was confused why 3 goddesses were in his throne room. I am Kami, goddess of light and order. The golden blonde female said, making the emperor's eyes widen, and these are my sisters, Yami, goddess of darkness and chaos, and Shinigami, goddess of life and death. I ask again why you are here? Asked Lord Sidious. We have come to tell you that you need a new apprentice to take your place, said Shinigami, because we have foretold a prophecy that a boy will keep the galaxy in balance, bringing peace and harmony. I see, said Sidious, but tell me who this child you speak of is. Scene change. Dusan. Kasan. I did it. Did you see that? Cheered an 8-year-old girl with bright long red hair with yellow ribbons around the end of her hair, bright neon violet eyes, and a round face. She wore a red t-shirt, combat pants, and blue ninja sandals. She looked an exact copy of her mother, with the exception of the yellow strands that outlined her hair and the fact that she is younger. That's great, Narumi-chan. Applauded a handsome man with spiky blonde hair with 2 long bangs down the side of his face. He had ocean blue eyes and an angular face. He wore a dark blue, long-sleeved shirt, black sweatpants, and stood about a height of 5'8". This girl, now known as Narumi, is the daughter of both Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Namikaze Kushina. She looked like an exact copy of her mother, with the exception of her blue eyes and the yellow strands that outline her hair and the fact that Narumi smiled and continued her training on sensing her chakra and calling it out. She just started training with chakra and her dad was teaching her how to control it. Great job, Narumi-chan. You will be great Kunoichi in no time. Said Aridid, who just came in when she saw her daughter call out her chakra. She stood at a height of 5'4", had bright red hair and a heart-shaped angelic face. She wore a hair clip on her hair, wore a red t-shirt and sweatpants. She had a body of a goddess that would make any male or female die of a nosebleed. With long slender arms and legs and an impressive bust ranging from C-cups to D-cups, this woman is Uzumaki Namikaze Kushina, the red hot-blooded habanero and Konoha's red death. Thanks, Ka-san. I can't wait until me and Tsubaki become great Kunoichi like you. Narumi replied with a cheesy grin, making both Minato and Kushina smile at their child's energy and attitude. While the family continued being a happy family, they didn't know the pair of eyes looking at them. In the distance stood a boy who was the same age as Narumi. He had wild spiky blonde hair that went everywhere, electric blue eyes, and a round face. He stood about the height of 3'5" and at the moment was wearing a grey t-shirt and sweatpants. He looked like any normal healthy kid, but one thing different about him was the 3 whisker marks on each side of his face. His name is Naruto Namikaze, son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, an older twin brother of Narumi Namikaze. At the moment Naruto was glaring at the nice family scene, the same eyes on Levi from Attack on Titan, that was happening at the family private training area. Naruto just sighed and walked away, into his room where he did training of his own. When Naruto got into his room he laid down on his bed and remembered what happened a long time ago that made him to be what he is now. Flashback. Hey Two-san, can you teach me how to do some cool ninja stuff? Asked a young blonde Naruto who was hoping his dad would say yes. Sorry Naruto, I can't. I have to teach Narumi. Replied Minato. Naruto frowned. Why can't you teach both of us at the same time? Argued Naruto, ignoring the smug look his sister was giving him. Sorry Naruto, I don't have time to do that. Naruto was going to respond with his father until his mother came in. Naruto, go to your room and don't bother your father. He will teach you when he feels that you are ready. Said Kushina in a demanding voice. Naruto, not wanting to argue with his mother, looked at the ground and walked to his room. Why can't I learn how to be a shinobi, but Narumi can? How come she gets everything? Said Naruto out loud to himself when he reached his room and closed the door so no one could enter or hear him. Naruto was considered a genius or prodigy, he was smart beyond measure and had skills to learn anything really fast, so it didn't take him long enough to figure out that his family favored his sister more than him, seeing as she got mostly everything she wanted. He also noticed the villagers treating her like a hero. Naruto knew that his sisters had the Kyuubi's power in them and that they were seen as heroines, but he didn't understand why he was so hated by the villagers while Narumi was mostly ignored. He laid on his bed and closes his eyes so that he could some rest. You all might be wondering why this had led him to a cold and focused child. Naruto woke up in the middle of the night, thirsty, and left his room. On his way back, he stopped by his parents' room hearing them talking. Are sure Minato? It's usually given to the firstborn male. His mother's voice was shaky and sounding uncertain, making him wonder what they were talking about. Of course. He heard his father say with certainty. You've seen her. At this age already this strong and not even in the academy yet. With her friends, she's already shown she can lead. She would make a better clan heir than Naruto. Naruto's eyes were shaking in fear, thinking this has to be a nightmare and that it has to be a mistake. They can't be serious. Well, Minato, if you say so. His pupils dilated. Yeah, her birthday is coming up, I'll do all the papers and tell her then as a present. Naruto had heard everything they were saying, he backed away slowly from their door and ran back to his room, leaving tears at their doorstep. When he was inside his room, a lot of tears dropped down from his eyes as he fell down on both of his knees and clutching on his fists, making him bleed. They plan on leaving me, they don't care either, I live or die, they always take everything from me, even my own sister, my birthdays, my childhood, and now my birthrights. No one loves me, nobody cares about me. The fading dark aura was surrounding Naruto as he was being consumed by dark power. He closed his eyes shut, he didn't notice that the objects in his room started to slightly move. I hate them, he said in his mind in anger, his aura started to grow darker. I hate them, he said it once more as the objects started to flying around him. Then he finally snapped, I hate them all, he roared in his mind, then all of Naruto items were spinning around him faster and faster. Now his entire body was covered in dark hatred which he kept holding back, then something in his mind calmed him down as he was remembering all the people that do care about. Naruto's stuff immediately stopped, then returned to their right places. The dark aura that Naruto had angered died down and showed a bright white light was all over him. That's right, Naruto thought there were some that really cared about me and loved me, he now remembers their names. Yuhi Kurenai and Mitarashi Anko, Kato Shizune, Inyazuka Hana, Yuzuki Yugao, Itachi Uchiha, Uchiha Mikoto, Morino Ibiki, and the Ichiraku family from the ramen stand. When Naruto was either in danger with the villagers Yuhi Kurenai and Mitarashi Anko, Kato Shizune, Inyazuka Hana, Morino Ibiki, Gemna, and Heiate helped Naruto one time when the villagers beat him, while Ibiki went on to teach those villagers a lesson during a torture session. After that they became friends, but at times he would stay a safe distance away from them so that the villagers wouldn't try to target them, too. But the others would have none of it and proceeded to hang around Naruto whenever possible. Flashback, present time. Throughout the years Naruto has been training very hard. Every day, he would train himself until he was exhausted and couldn't move. He would usually train in his room or in a secret training area where his so-called parents wouldn't catch him. His routine every day would be 100 push-ups followed by 100 crunches. This would usually take about an hour or so, then he would usually take short break and to 100 pull-ups and sit-ups, this took about another hour. After he would run around the village 3 times, which took about 2 hours, and spend 3 hours doing chakra control. He would do this every day and wouldn't cheat or take any shortcuts, meaning that he wanted to accomplish things that were challenging. With many good things there are also bad things. As time passed by, the villagers at first started with cold glares, then changed into beating here and there. Once every 2 weeks or so there would be a crowd that would corner Naruto and beat him senseless. They didn't do anything crazy since he was the son of their beloved Yondaime, but they would show him his place. Naruto at first would fight back, but he realized that would have made it worse, so now he just lets them beat them, though it didn't really hurt since he was strong and could take weak civilians' punches. The children around Naruto's ago wouldn't hang out or talk to him, instead they would full flaunt over Narumi or give him cold glares. Some of the people who tried to be his friend only did it so that they could get close of Narumi. During the academy he would be ignored, but Naruto didn't really mind since he was pretty much alone from the start, though there were very people that befriended him. Them being Kurenai Yuhi, Anko Midarashi, Yugao Yuzuki, Uchiha Itachi, and finally Uchiha Mikoto. Kurenai, Anko, and Yugao helped Naruto one time when the villagers beat him, after that they became friends, but at time he would stay a safe distance away from them so that the villagers wouldn't hurt them too. Itachi found him during one of his training routine and watched in silence. He was impressed by Naruto's determination and hard work and eventually talked to Naruto. He asked why Naruto was training by himself and where his family was. Naruto's answer was, "I am nothing to them, only extra baggage." Itachi was shocked but understood what he meant. He often seen Naruto walking behind his parents with an expressionless face. After that, Itachi often visited Naruto as much as he could and helped Naruto with his training, seeing as Naruto was considered a prodigy like himself. Uchiha Mikoto found Naruto walking alone around Konoha one day. She asked why he wasn't with his parents, where he gave them the same answer as Itachi. Mikoto was furious and was about to march over to the Namikaze estate and give them a piece of her mind. Naruto tried to stop her, saying it wouldn't matter, but she didn't listen to him. Instead she dragged him with her to the Namikaze estate. He still remembered what happened. Flashback 1 year ago, Uchiha Mikoto barged into the Namikaze estate dragging a blonde hair boy with her. "Kushina Namikaze. Come here now," yelled an enraged Mikoto. Moments later, Kushina and Minato came into the front of the door to find Mikoto holding their son. "Mikoto, why are you here and why is my son with you?" asked a confused Kushina. She thought that Naruto was in his room. "I'm here because I found your son walking around Konoha alone," replied Mikoto loudly. "Really? Oh. Thanks Mikoto-chan for finding my son, we will take it from here," said Minato, telling Naruto to go to his room, which he did. Though stayed back so he can hear the rest of the conversation since he noticed that Mikoto haven't went home yet. "Did you even know that your son was outside?" asked Mikoto, still mad. "No, but I thank you again for finding him," replied Kushina. Mikoto narrowed her eyes and in the corner of her eyes, she noticed a redhead that was training in the family training ground. This got a question that she wanted to ask them. Why is Narumi training to be a ninja early while Naruto is sent to his room? We decided to train Narumi early. And why not Naruto? Mikoto's tone getting colder and colder by the second, which was starting to scare Kushina and Minato. That's because Narumi has the Kyuubi's power sealed into her and has to know how to control it. We will start teaching Naruto when he get into the academy. Mikoto stood there with glaring eyes at the two. "I understand, sorry for asking a stupid question, Namikaze-san." Minato and Kushina flinch at the sudden change in their friend but just toss it aside, thinking that it wasn't anything serious. Mikoto turned around and walked away, too mad to say goodbye. Flashback end, present time. After that, Mikoto would help him as best as she could. Sometimes cooking him lunch to giving him advice on his training, since she herself was a jonin before she retired when she got married and had 2 kids. She tried befriending him with her youngest son Sasuke, but to her disappointment he adopted his father personality at a very early age, which was being arrogant to the max. Sasuke would say things like Naruto wasn't worth his time or that the Uchiha are the best to Naruto's annoyance. But at least Itachi befriended him, which made Mikoto happy, though she wished he had a friend his age, which Naruto didn't mind. His relation with his family became worse. As his parents train his sister Narumi in the family styles and jutsu, Naruto watch in the background, always hoping for attention. He would suggest the family go the movie, while his sister would suggest they go and eat ramen, and to Naruto's disappointment, they always chose whatever Narumi would suggest. After a while of watching and hoping, he gave up and trained even harder to show them that he didn't need them. He stayed in his room, not bothered to go out and talk with his family. Only time he saw them during the day would be dinner, but even then he would stay silent. He would just finish his food as fast as he could, wash his own dishes and go back to his room and train. When the family went on walks around the village, he would stay a few feet back from the rest of the family, while Narumi would usually lead. He avoids attention as much as possible, being quiet or staying in corners where no one would see him. During parties he would only be there for an hour or so until he got tired and left. Sometimes Narumi would ask him to play with her, but Naruto would turn her down and said that he was busy. On his free time, Naruto would usually read books about stories, jutsu, seals, or anything ninja related. He also painted and drew on his free time. When his parents weren't around he would work on improving his funijutsu, hoping that he would surpass his parents since they were seal master. Sometimes in Naruto's days he would go to the Hokage monument and stared at the sunset behind the village gates and walls. "Someday I am going to leave this stupid village," said Naruto as he watched the sun go down. He stood up and stated to walk back home. Scene change. The Emperor's throne room. Back in the Emperor's Death Star, the three goddesses were explaining about Naruto being the child of the prophecy. They even showed him Naruto's life from the beginning until. "The boy is quite interesting to me, and you were right about him. He does have the power of the dark and light side to the force," he said to them. "We expect to see him soon," said Kami. "So where shall I meet my new apprentice?" Lord Sidia said. Yami handed him the location of Naruto's whereabouts on the Emperor's communicator. "We will also give our power to him once you bring him here," spoke Shinigami. "Me and my sisters will wait at the entrance when you return with him," said Kami. Sidious lifted himself up from his throne and started walking towards the elevator. "I will bring back the boy and tell him the news, and I think he will accept it," he said as the door closed. "When he brings him back we will enter in Naruto's mindscape and tell him everything. He must also kill the Dark Lord, Lord Sidious, and bring peace to the galaxy. The old man can't be trusted." "Well, I just can't wait to see Naruto, he's just so cute and attractive," said Yami while blushing. "Hey, no fair, I want to be the one to have him all to myself," Shinigami said while pouting. Both of them stared at each other as little bits of lightning came out of their eyes. The same thing when Naruto and Sasuke were eating in their first C-rank mission. Kami grew a tick mark and decided to spec up. "Sisters, enough," Kami shouted out. "We all know that we are going to share him," she told them. Shinigami and Yami blushed with embarrassment while looking down at the ground. "Besides," Kami continued, "since I am the oldest I will be the first one to kiss him." "Hey," the two sisters shouted. Chapter 2. The party and our hero's destiny. Hokage's office. The next day, Namikaze Minato was doing paperwork, something he hated to do as Hokage. He was currently looking at a petition to release the civilians that were in jail for hurting his son Naruto. He sighed, remembering the time after the Kyuubi's attack and when he announced that Narumi had the Kyuubi's power and Naruto had the soul. Some of the villagers asked that Naruto be watched, hurt, or even killed before the Kyuubi could control Naruto. As a father, he knew that he shouldn't let them go, but he was the Hokage first. He was not just any Hokage, but the best Hokage ever to lead Konoha so far. As Hokage, he knew that the village came first and family came much, much later. He knew the pain of the village after the Kyuubi attack, and with Naruto having the soul of the Kyuubi, he knew that the village would target him. He knew it was bad, but the village needed a scapegoat, and despite how young Naruto was, he was the only person to fit the bill. The best he felt that he could do was to reduce what they did to him. He signed the paper that released the villagers from their prison. He just hoped that Naruto would forgive him and that his wife and daughters wouldn't ever find out about what he allowed the village to do to Naruto. He was about to go through more paperwork until he felt a presence behind him. "Jiraiya-sensei, what are you doing here?" Minato asked while he quickly approved the request to release the prisoners. "It seems like I could never hide from you, my former student," Jiraiya said as he jumped through the window. "I ask you again, why are you here? I assumed you were peeping on women like you always do." "Actually, the toad summoned me and told me about a prophecy." "Prophecy from the toads?" Minato asked, shocked. Jiraiya nodded in confirmation. "What was it about?" "It said that the chosen one is the child born from two great shinobi and holds light and dark power and has light blue shining eyes that they have been gifted from Kami, Yami and Shinigami and that will bring peace to the whole world. I expect that the chosen one would be Narumi since she is your and Kushina's child and has the power of the Kyuubi within herself. So my daughter is the chosen one?" A hopeful Minato asked. "I think so, since she seems to fit all the requirements," Jiraiya replied, seeing how happy his student is. "Since it's Narumi's birthday tomorrow, I was wondering if you would let her sign the toad contract," he asked Minato, his smile growing wider as Minato nodded. "Since that's done, I guess I'll continue my research. See you later, Minato," Jiraiya exclaimed before disappearing using Shunshin. Minato sighed and looked at his loads of paperwork with a frown. He still couldn't figure out a way to beat every Kage's enemy. After working for a while, Minato stopped and started to think about his family. How far they have grown as a family. How happy they were, he, Kushina, Narumi, and Naruto. He frowned when he thought about Naruto. After refusing to teach Naruto, he pretty much excluded himself from the family. Minato still remembered Naruto asking to go somewhere as in family, but he refused Naruto's idea for Narumi, picking wherever she wanted to go. As time went by, Naruto's request became less frequent until eventually he stopped asking for anything. He even showed his face less around the house. Minato regretted what he did to Naruto and was going to make it up to him. Starting tomorrow after Naruto's and Narumi's birthday, he was going to start Naruto's training. He was going to bring Naruto back into the family no matter what. Namikaze's estate. Kushina Namikaze at the moment was making dinner for the family. She too felt that Naruto wasn't part of the family. Every time he and Narumi would come home he goes into his room and stays there until dinner. At dinner he would be silent and not even give time a glance. When they walked around Konoha he would stay a few feet back and would remain quiet. She noticed Naruto always reading books, which was good, but he read too much and wouldn't go out and play with the children his age. She started to wonder if Naruto had any friends at all. She regretted not training Naruto at the same time as Narumi, but believed that Narumi needed extra attention due to her having the Kyuubi's power. She being a former Jinchuriki knows how hard it is to control the Kyuubi's power. Kushina was worried, she didn't want Naruto to isolate himself from the family. She knew that something had to be done, and the moment Naruto walked through that door, she was going to make it up to him. She was going to make the family whole again no matter what it took. She then continues to cook dinner lunch for the family and especially for Naruto to enjoy. In Konoha, "Naruto Oni-chan, where are you?" shouted Narumi. Narumi ran around Konoha trying to look for her Oni-chan. After class finished Narumi wanted to walk home with Naruto. To her disappointment she disappeared when she tried to look for him. "Naruto Oni-chan." She shouted once more, hoping Naruto would come this time. When she got nothing in return she frowned and started to walk home. Narumi loved Naruto a lot, not as a brother but something more. She would always try to play with him, but Naruto would always stare at her with his lifeless eyes telling her to leave him alone. Narumi started to remember the past and felt sick at herself. She remembered when she little after her dad told Naruto that he had to train her first, she started to tease Naruto about it. She would say things like the family loved her more or how show Naruto what she learned to make fun of him. When Naruto would suggest they go somewhere, she would suggest they go another place and every time they would choose her suggestion over his. Remembering these things made her just wanted to go back in time and slap her younger self. Narumi walked home alone, another day without Naruto. While she walked home she remembered that tomorrow was hers and Naruto's birthday. She smiled and thought of a plan to get her Oni-chan back. She finished her plan by the time she got home and was going to start it the moment she reached into the house. Next morning, the day Naruto and Narumi's birthday. It may be his birthday, but that doesn't mean he get a free day and relax from training. He left his home to go to his training ground. After an hour when Naruto left, Narumi woke up really happy since today was her and Naruto's birthday. She quickly got out of bed and ran to her parents' room. "Dusan. Ka-san, wake up. It's mine's and Naruto's birthday," shouted Narumi, jumping on her parent bed waking them up. Minato and Kushina groaned as they woke up. "Narumi, calm down. Why don't you wake Naruto up and we can walk around the village and see the festival preparation and we will visit the clan heads and your friends," replied Minato. Narumi nodded and ran to Naruto's room. While Minato and Kushina got up, smiled at their daughter antics. They both went to go the usual morning routine of brushing their teeth. After that they changed while Kushina went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast for the family and Minato reviewed what he was going to teach Naruto. Narumi ran through the halls and appeared in front of Naruto's room. She was scared to open it. She never has been inside Naruto's room before so she didn't know what was in there. Too scared to go inside she decided to knock instead hoping Naruto would answer. "Aniki," said Narumi while knocking on her brother's door. She got no answer and knocked once again only to have no answer once again. She put her head against the walls to hear any noise but heard nothing. Assuming that he wasn't there and still scared to go into his room, Narumi went to tell her parents. Narumi quickly went to the kitchen where both Minato and Kushina are. Kushina seeing the sad look on Narumi's face asked, "What's wrong, Narumi?" Narumi looked at her and replied, "Naruto isn't in his room." Shocking both Minato and Kushina. "Did you check his room?" asked Minato. "Well, I knocked and got no reply. I am scared to go into his room," replied Narumi. "Why are you scared?" "That's because I've never been into his room before and I'm scared Aniki will be mad at me." Minato and Kushina were surprised, they too have never been into Naruto's room and wondered what would be in there. Naruto seemed to be in there all the time, so they assumed there was something in there for him to do, but doesn't remember getting him anything that will allow him to stay in his room all day. "How about we all go to Naruto's room then? Would you like that, Narumi?" said Kushina, which Narumi nodded in reply. The three of them quickly went to Naruto's room and stopped when they are in front of Naruto's room. Slowly Minato opened the door to his room and when it opened all three of them were surprised. Naruto's room was what you would call plain, very plain. The walls were white, no dirty marks on it. While his bed was neatly done showing that he was gone. His room was very clean, even cleaner than Minato and Kushina. There wasn't a single clothes lying around anywhere. His clothes were neatly folded and the dirty ones in a basket at the side of his room. Narumi, Minato, and Kushina frowned at how plain his room was. Not a single decoration on the walls. They looked around his room and noticed a bookcase. Filled with book, mostly advanced, even Minato would have trouble reading some of the books on the shelves. The books were ranging from romance novels to history books, there were many kinds of different books. "Naruto can read these books," said a surprised Minato. Kushina and Narumi remained silent, amazed how smart Naruto was until they were interrupted by a knock on the door. They turned around and were surprised to see Naruto standing at the door to his room. "Can I help you?" Naruto asked coolly. Kushina quickly snapped out of memory lane, sorry Naruto. We wanted to tell you to come down and eat breakfast, but you were gone. So we came to your room to check up on you, and we saw that you weren't here. Also, we wanted to tell you to get ready to visit the clan heads." Naruto nodded, "Alright then, but if you don't mind, would you please leave so I can change?" The three Namikazes quickly left his room and went to go and get ready. After they ate breakfast with their family, they left the house with them to walk around the village to see how the festival preparations were coming, and it seemed that they were almost done. They then went to the Hyuga's homes where they had been invited along with the rest of the clan heads and their families. At the Hyuga clan house, Hinata, Hanabi, and Ino were all talking with each other. Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, and Shino were hanging around each other. Well, to be more exact, Shikamaru was sleeping while Choji was eating chips, Kiba was playing with his puppy Akamaru, and Shino was silent, talking to bugs. There was a knock on the door, and Hyuga Hiyashi, the Hyuga clan head, answered it to see Minato and Kushina with their children. They could tell that Narumi and Tsubaki couldn't wait to talk with their friends, and Naruto who, well he had his nose in a book and was just talking with Naruhi, off behind the rest of the family. "Hello, Minato-san. Nice of you and your family to make it," Hiyashi greeted, who is a good friend of Minato. "Yo Hiyashi, how's it going?" Minato replied, looking around the house, and noticed a certain arrogant clan head missing. "Where's the idiot Hyugaku?" Hiyashi sighed. Hyugaku said something about not having time for childish things like get-togethers. Minato laughed, "Dude's gotta stick up his ass, that's for sure." Hiyashi chuckled at his friend's attitude. After a quick greeting from the rest of the family, Minato and Kushina went to all of their friends to catch up. Kushina glanced back at her children and hoped that they were at least starting to get along. Naruhi just sighed and went over to talk to Itachi, Naruto following close behind her. Narumi, however, stopped Naruto and looked at him with determination in her eyes. "Ani-chan, would you like to play with me and my friends?" Naruto looked at her like she was crazy and grumbled. Guess she had a memory recollection problem and forgot all about yesterday. He wanted to say no, but he saw Kushina looking at them, hoping that they might get along. "Sure, why not?" Naruto said and shrugged at the same time. Narumi cheered at that and quickly dragged Naruto over to Hinata, Hanabi, and Ino, as they were the only girls there because it was a clan head family get-together. After 2 to 3 hours, it was noon and time for the Namikaze family to leave so that they could prepare for the party and see the festival preparations. The Namikaze siblings finished talking with their friends and gathered by their parents. Time skipped 2 more hours. It was time for the party to begin. The Namikaze house was filled with family and friends. Both children and adults. The clan heads and their families were all there, as was Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage and his family, and the Namikaze children's godparents, Jiraiya and Tsunade. Itachi, Kurenai, Anko, Yugao, Hana and Shizune came by as well, but just for Naruto. Naruto was standing in the corner away from the crowd where no one could see him. Meanwhile, the party was still in full force and doesn't seem to be getting smaller or tiring down. If anything, it seems to be getting wilder. There was karaoke coming from the living room, with many more drunken adults singing, and the children were running all over the house. Minato, who was slightly drunk since he didn't drink much, managed to quiet everyone down for one of the usual main events for Narumi's birthday party. "Now then, it is time for Narumi to open her presents," Minato announced, getting everyone to quiet down. "Minato, my love, what you're planning, I hope it brings fixes whatever happened to our son," Kushina thought sadly. Narumi was happy, yet not completely. All of her friends and their parents were here, but her brother was still missing, and what seemed worse is that no one seemed to notice. It got worse as they cut the cake without him and even started presents without him, even though it seemed no one brought any for him. "Here, kid, it's a summoning contract for the toads, I have a feeling it will be put into good use with you," her uncle Jiraiya said, giving the large scroll to her, using a smile he uses when he's hiding something. "Yes. This is a chance to remind everyone that I'm not the only Uzumaki child," Narumi thought before looking up to Jiraiya. "Hanai-san sign it too." Well, an innocent question, it reminded everyone that more than one child had a birthday today. Jiraiya mentally cursed, this was the one question he hoped she wouldn't ask. "Well, Narumi-chan, as much as I would love to let Naruto sign it, the toads don't like to have many summoners. So 3 would probably be the limit, and anyways Naruto wouldn't have the talent for it." Narumi was listening sadly until she heard the last part. "What do you mean wouldn't have the talent?" Jiraiya paused. "Maybe that came out wrong. What I meant was he's not as talented as you." "What do you mean not as talented?" "Jiraiya, what I mean Narumi-chan is that you're better than him." Jiraiya smiled thinking this explained everything, but was not expecting get punched by a 10-year-old. It didn't hurt but was surprising. "Don't you ever say that about Nai-san." "Okay," Minato said, bringing everyone's attention to him and making Naruto forget what Jiraiya said. It's time for my present. Minato looked at Narumi before speaking up, letting everyone hear him. Everyone, I hereby denounce Naruto Uzumaki as clan heir and give the position to Narumi Uzumaki. If Naruto disagrees with this order, I will excommunicate him from the clan. Minato smiled, thinking he was going to get applause or agreement, but he got silence and Kushina pulling him aside. You didn't say anything about potential excommunication. What are you thinking? She said in a whispered voice. He was going to answer, but was distracted when they heard the front door shut loudly. Kushina ran past the party guests to look out the front window. She saw Naruto walking to the gate where the party guests were coming in. Narumi ran past her mother to catch up to her brother. When she got close to him, she grabbed his arm with her hands. Nai-san, please stop. Where are you going? Said a worried Narumi. I going for a walk, Naruto said without looking her. Naruto, stop, I never wanted this, she tried to convince him. Naruto had enough of this. He removed his arm from Narumi's grip, then pushed her to the ground. Shut up, Naruto said loudly, I was never a family to you or your parents. I heard everything they said that night. Minato and Kushina were shocked that he knew. This is your chance to be a perfect family, then so be it, just leave me alone, Naruto said to her as he is walking away. Minato walked up to Narumi that was going to help her up, but the moment he touched her shoulder she got up quickly and punched him in the gut. It didn't hurt but was surprising. This is all your fault, she shouted at him, then ran back to the house, running to her room with tears in her eyes. Minato turned around and saw the pissed off Kushina and knew that this was going to be bad as he walked back into the house. The party quests didn't want to get involved with their argument, so they decided to leave. As they all left, the two Chunins that were guarding the gate ran off to find the demon that harmed the next heir of the Uzumaki clan. Hokage Monument, it's always about her, she gets everything while squat, Naruto said with anger as he kicked a rock off the cliff. He breathed slowly, trying to calm down. It doesn't matter, he continued, I'm no longer a part of their family anymore. As he was about to get down. Well, if it isn't the demon child, a male voice said as Naruto turned around and saw a Chunin a few feet away from him. Demon child, what are you talking about? Naruto asked with confusion, because he didn't know about having the Kyuubi soul from his past life. You don't know? Oh well, it doesn't matter anymore, seeing as this is the day you die. When he finished talking to him, the Chunin walked towards him slowly with two kunai knife in his hands. Naruto go into his battle stance and backed away slowly, but didn't notice that there was someone behind him. The second Chunin got Naruto into a stranglehold. Naruto tried to break free, but he didn't have the strength to do it. I think you would look better without those eyes of yours, the first Chunin said evilly as he pierced the kunais through his eyes. Naruto's screams echoed all over the Leaf Village in pain, fell on the floor covering his eye sockets with his hands, but that didn't help because the two Chunin were rapidly beating him up. Meanwhile in the galaxy, the Emperor was in his ship, the Imperial Shuttle, looking for his apprentice with the coordinates Yami gave him to help find his student when he sensed something in the force that is not right. Stormtrooper, we must hurry, he commanded his soldier. Yes my lord, as the stormtrooper prepared for hyper jump to light speed. I sense my new apprentice is in danger, he said to his soldiers. The ship sped off so fast it only took them minutes to reach their destination. Hokage Monument. Naruto was down on the ground unconscious, bruised, cuts all over his body and covered in blood. Come on, let's get out of here, Chunin 1 said to his partner. Hold on, I got to make sure that the demon dead. The second Chunin spoke as he started to perform hand signs. Fire style. Fire release stream, the second Chunin called out as he spread fire all over Naruto's body, thus setting him on fire, but Naruto didn't feel the cause, he was unconscious. There, now let's get out, or quick. They were about to leave when a strange sound like steam was coming from behind. They turned around to see a weird aircraft landing on the ground. The door on the ship started to open, and what the Chunin saw coming out of the ship was to appear to look like a weak old man wearing black robes, with his hood covering his face. Behind him were two men wearing strange armor. Hey, who are you and what do you want? Chunin 1 said to the intruders. The Emperor turned his head at his men. Kill them, he told his soldiers. The two stormtroopers pointed their blasters at the two Chunin, then shot them down. Your Majesty, there he is, Stormtrooper 1 told his lord, pointing at Naruto's. He's still alive, quickly get a medical capsule immediately, he commanded his soldiers. Yes sir, right away. The two stormtroopers went back into the ship to get the medical capsule. The Emperor walked towards Naruto. He bent his knees down to the ground and placed his hand on his head. Fear not, my apprentice, for Kami has given you a great opportunity for you. Lord Sidia spoke to Naruto as the stormtrooper came back with a medical capsule. The stormtroopers lifted Naruto to the capsule and placed a breathing mask on him to keep him alive. As they were about to leave, Minato and Kushina came. How did they came, you ask, as they were arguing back at the house when they heard Naruto's cries of pain as they left quickly to find him. Let the boy into my ship quickly, I shall deal with this too myself, the Emperor shouted at his men as they carried Naruto to the ship. Give us back our son, Minato commanded at the stanger as Kushina and Minato charged at him. As they were get close to him, the Sith Lord raised both his arm, then he shot force lighting of them, both of them, which they didn't expected, as both of them were being electrocuted. The Emperor noticed light aglow on the back of Kushina's neck. His lighting turned from blue to purple, causing more pain for both of the parents. The light on Kushina's neck died down. Lord Sidious decided they had enough. He stopped and went back to the ship. The stormtroopers got the ship prepared. Kushina got back up, rubbing the back of the neck. When she saw her hand, she had ink all over it, thinking someone put a seal on her, realizing that her so-called husband must have something to do with it, but now was not the time to think. She saw the ship about to take off with her son. "Nuo, stop," she cried out as she catches up to them, but it was too late. The ship had taken off to the skies. Kushina fell down on her knees, crying that she failed as a mother. She should have better mother to Naruto. She can only hope that he would come back safely. Right now has to find out about why the seal that was on the back of neck. She picked up Minato, walked back home. All she can do was to find out what was Minato planning. "Please be safe, Naruto," she said to herself, looking at the sky. Chapter 3: A Loss and a New Start. Somewhere in space, the Emperor had returned back to his Death Star with his new apprentice, who is still recovering from the damage, those people that caused him so much pain and agony. As the Imperial ship was close to its destination, Lord Sidious is checking how his student is doing. Naruto's condition was in bad shape. His entire body is badly burnt that he is unable to move himself. His eyes were gone, as they looked like someone ripped them off. The stormtroopers used medical bandages, keeping his eyes from being infected. The Imperial shuttle was near the Death Star. The ship slowly entered the entrance of the Death Star's landing platform, where the three goddesses were waiting for their new emperor to come back safely. The Emperor and his clones came out from the ship. The three goddesses approached but were worried when they saw the hovering medical capsule. They quickly approached it to see what happened. When they got close to it, the sisters were horrified and shocked for what they got them furious seeing Naruto's damaged body. "What happened to him?" Kami asked with anger in her voice. Yami and Shinigami glared at him, which they also want to know what happened to the boy. "He was attacked by those disgusting people you call Konoha, but was only attacked by their guards called Chunin," the Emperor said to them. "But now is not the time to talk about that. We have to get him to the medical room. Now my droids will fix him up." In the recovering room, the droids were currently curing Naruto's condition. There were cuts, burnt up all over his body, and making sure that his empty eyes don't get infected or rot from the inside. While the droids were proceeding fixing Naruto's injury, the three goddesses and the Emperor were currently observing the process of Naruto's healing, while thinking of ways on how they will make him start his training. But they were cut off from their thoughts when the medical room door slid open, and what came out of the door was a hovering three-armed droid coming through the door, confronting the goddesses and the Emperor, who were waiting for the results. I forgot what it looked like. To kind of look more like 4 arms instead of 3 from the third movie when Padme is giving birth. "Medically, the child is suffering from the damages within his body. For some we cannot explain, we are losing him," the hovering medical droid explained to them. Lord Sidious looked at Naruto's current state. He spoke to the goddesses while still looking at Naruto. "He is dying," the Emperor said. "We don't know why, but there is something you must also know. Within the boy's body, there seems to be some sort of strong power source that is keeping him alive. It is also regenerating his cuts and burns when we were about to heal him," the medical droid said to them. The Emperor was curious on what was this power source that the droid spoke of that Naruto contained, and what might it hold. "Kyuubi," Kami said quietly to herself. "Who is this Kyuubi you speak of?" Sidious asked her. Kyuubi is one of the 9-tailed beasts, centuries of being sought after as a tool for war, and regarded as a monster that people think of her. However, I didn't know she had feelings for the blonde. "Wait a minute, this Kyuubi is a female?" the Emperor asked with confusion. "Of course, after all, me and my sisters are the ones that brought them to Earth so that they might interact with humans. But Yoko, she's special, not only the most powerful tailed beasts, but also the only non-violent one of them all." Kami explained all the details about the Kyuubi to Lord Sidious, who nodded, understanding why the people fear Naruto, because they have him as a bloodthirsty monster. "There is also another problem of the matter. We don't have any replacements for his eyes, and I don't think this Kyuubi you spoke of can regenerate new ones," the droid explained to them. "What do we do?" Sidious asked in question. Everyone was now thinking what to do until Shinigami had an idea, then whispered her sisters, telling them what they must do. Talking in secret, they nodded, then grabbed each other's arms. "What are you doing?" the Emperor asked, but the three goddesses ignored him and continued to proceed their plan. In the center of the goddesses formed 2 small blue flaming spheres floating in the center of them. Sidious covered his eyes, because even though they are small, they also bring a bright light to them. Sidious shielded his from the light, and when it died down, he opened his eyes and seized the still flaming orbs floating in the center and landed in Kami's hands as she walked to the hovering droid, giving them to him. "Give these to Naruto. Not only will they give back his eyesight, but me and my sister's power will become his," Kami said. The droid slowly took the new replacement eyes from Kami's and said, "These are exactly the size we are looking, but are this safe for him?" the droid asked her politely. "Yes, once your followers put this on him it will do the rest," she replied. The eyes that Naruto will have are wars from Darksiders the first one. In the meantime he will take up the name Darth Revan. Sidious interrupted. You droids get rid of those burnt up rags that are on him and replace them with this. As Sidious showed a robe-like combat outfit that has a red leather fur on the right side shoulder, a dark blue hooded cloak with a black combat pants with brown boots. I'm planning on making him look like this when he is older. Art Assassins X Star Wars Concept 212,761,670. While your droids clean him up, we will enter his mind to see if he is willing to accept our offer of being our avatar. Yami spoke. Sidious nodded and let them do their business. The three sisters vanish and entered into Naruto's mind. The Emperor waited patiently as his medical droids got to work on replacing Naruto's old cloths with the new that Sidious gave him. Unknown location. Naruto opened his eyes to find himself in an open field with one side of it having a cloudy blue sky and beautiful flowers, while the other side having a clear violet sky and grass. Ugh, where am I? In the plane between dimensions. Said a heavenly voice from behind Naruto. The blonde turned around behind to find three women with equally enchanting beauty. The one in the middle has golden blonde hair with shining blue eyes. She has a perfect hergless figure with D-cup breast. Her outfit consists of a shoulderless white dress with long sleeves, a long skirt, and white ninja sandals. She is Kami, goddess of light and order. The one to her right has jet pitch black hair with red eyes. She also has a perfect hergless figure with C-cup breast. Her outfit consists of a black tank top with black pants and black ninja sandals. She is Yami, goddess of darkness and chaos. The final one has silvery white hair and green eyes. Like the other two, she has a perfect hergless and E-cup breast. Her outfit consists of an upper kimono with a light gray hakama and black ninja sandals. She is Shinigami, goddess of life and death. Who are you three? How am I be able to see when does idiot Chunin cut out eyes, and how did I get here? Naruto asked, while getting the feeling making these three mad at him would spell the end for him as the three ladies kneeled in front of him to get to his level. I am Kami, goddess of light and order. The golden blonde female said, making Naruto's eyes widen. The reason you can see because this is your mindscape. You can do anything in your mind, and these are my sisters, Yami, goddess of darkness and chaos, and Shinigami, goddess of life and death. Hi. Yami greeted, flashing a dark smile at Naruto, making him shiver. Nice to meet you. Shinigami said, ruffling Naruto's hair. Nice to meet you all too. It's an honor to meet three goddesses such as yourselves. Naruto said, bowing down on one knee while making Yami and Shinigami blush, but I have to wonder why you all want to meet me of all people. Because we have an offer for you, Naruto-kun, since you're the only soul who fits our requirements and hope you will accept our offer. Kami said, getting straight to business. But before that, Yami now smiled a mischievous smile. There is someone we want you to meet. Shinigami said as a swirl of light and darkness encircled the three and they disappeared from the plane between dimensions. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes and found himself in somewhat looked like to be sewer of some kind. Naruto was wandering around hoping to find an exit until he heard the sound of someone crying. He made his way towards the sound and came upon what appeared to be a very large gate. Near the bottom, just a few feet above the floor, was a piece of paper. On it was the kanji for seal. He carefully approached the large structure and slipped inside the cage, and when he got in, he spotted a woman who seemed to be the source of the sobbing. He made his way to her when all of a sudden he was tackled by the woman as she buried her face in his chest, screaming, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Naruto was dumbstruck and asked what for. The woman looked up, revealing her face. She had a perfect heart-shaped face that had a slightly tan tone with 3 whisker marks on each cheek, just like the blonde, and her eye color was a light shade of pink. The whisker-marked female sobbed again and replied, what for? It's because of me that you've been outcast. I'm sorry. I'm the Kyuubi no Kitsune, and you're my host. Needless to say, Naruto was shocked and said, my birthday is on Oct.10. You attacked Konoha on Oct.10. Bijuus are too powerful for an ordinary human to kill. That's why my so-called father sealed you inside me. The Kyuubi nodded at the brief but accurate observation. But Naruto continued, I don't think you attacked the village on purpose. There must be an explanation about that. I was being controlled by a masked man claiming to be Uchiha Madara, the founder of the Uchiha clan. Naruto nodded as he recalled hearing in passing about the man from Naruhi, making him frown. Wouldn't that make him more than 100 years old? Yes. Either it's because of the eternal Manjutsu Sharingan that he's immortal, or he's not Madara at all. Well, your mother is in labor. The man came and held you and your twin hostage. Your father saved you too, but managed to separate him from your mother and ripped me from her seal. He then used his blasted Sharingan to trap me in a Jinjutsu to control me. You properly hate me because I am the one that made you suffer, she told him sadly as she dropped on her knees crying again, expecting him to slap her or beat her up for causing him so much pain. She waiting for the pain, but instead felt a warm embrace. She opened her eyes to that Naruto hugging her. Look, I don't care what happened to the past, all I know is that you always healed me when I'm injured, when the mob beats me up, you always making sure that I'm safe to whatever I go, and more importantly, he got off of the Kyuubi and put both of his hands on her shoulder and looked at her with determination on his face, looking at her sad teary face, and said, you're always there with me, never leaving my side when I was born. Now that I know cared so much for me, I can never hate, because I think that I the Kyuubi waited for his answer, not knowing what he might said until his mouth opened and spoke. Because I think I love you. His eyes were shut, had a light blush across his cheeks which embarrassed him. Naruto opened his eyes slowly, only to see Kyuubi sadder as more tears fell down on her cheek. Naruto was about to ask what was wrong, that is when she spoke. Yoko, she said as she smiled at him. What? Naruto said with confusion. That's my name, Yoko, and yes Naruto, I love you too, she cried out and tackled the blonde to the wet ground and hugged him tightly while crying on his chest. Naruto didn't know what to do, but he just accepted as he hugged her back, trying to comfort her by rubbing the back of her hair, calming her down. 3 beams of light shot down from behind them and appeared was Kami, Shinigami, and Yami. A moment of silence later, Naruto spoke up, so what about this offer you mentioned? Oh, right. Kami turned to him, looking straight at the blonde. Uzumaki Namikaze, Naruto, as our child of prophecy, you are destined for great things here in this plane. Because of that you'll be able to bring peace not only to the world, but to the entire galaxy and other worlds as well. Due to your blood, you have a perfect soul with the right amount of light and darkness within it, Shinigami added. Also, you are the first person to ever have force abilities. What is the force? Naruto asked Kami. It's an energy field created by all living things. They say it binds us, it penetrates us, and binds the galaxy together. Kami explained, but you learn soon enough when you train with Lord Sidious. When you wake up, he will be the one teaching you the GD arts. But that said, will you become our avatar? Yami offered, you are the child of prophecy me and my sisters foretold after all. There's a catch, there? Yes, there is. In order to accept the offer you must give up your blood of an Uzumaki Namikaze and must take on the blood named Darth Revan. Do you accept? Naruto was shocked. He was given an offer by the 3 most powerful goddesses to become their avatar, but in order to receive give up his family blood. He thought about it and realized his family does not want him and does want anything to do with him, and not only will he have the power to protect his precious people, but stick it to that self-righteous blonde prick of a father. The decision was pretty obvious at this point. I accept, he said, but on one condition. Name it. The goddesses, the vixen, and the dragon lady said at once. Naruto stood for a moment before bowing down on one knee, forming a fist and placing it on his right heart, and said, please don't leave my side. Kami, Yami, Shinigami, and Yoko all blinked before walking over to Naruto and pulled him into a hug. Of course not. We would never do that, Naruto-kun. Don't ever doubt us, Kami said, smiling. Naruto hugged back, thank you, Kami-chan, Yami-chan, Shiny-chan, Yoko-chan. The goddesses and Chakra Demon blushed at the new nicknames their soon-to-be avatar gave them as they broke apart. Then Darth Revan, become our avatar. The 3 goddesses spoke in one voice. The area became flooded with power as the 3 goddesses poured part of their power into Naruto. Changes started to form on Naruto, his hair started to turn from a blonde to brown smooth, different hairstyle, the whiskers on his face faded away, and the last change was his eyes are now completely blue. As the ritual was finished, Naruto looked at himself at the watery floor and was surprised that he got a new look, but the one thing that surprised him the most is his eyes that looked weird. Whoa, what's going on with my eyes? Said to the goddesses. You have a Dijutsu named the Eyes of Legends, which is mix of Rinnegan and Manjutsu Sharingan, ability to have unlimited force. You have the power to control all elements including the sub-elements to its fullest potential. After all that talking, Yoko started to fade real slow and fell down on the ground. Naruto rushed to her and held her in his arms. Play Xian's theme from Kingdom Hearts 358 halves days. What's happening to you? Naruto said to her with a worried face. I'm going back to your sister. All this time I've been healing you is because I used my own power to do it and that my soul can't live without chakra, so I'm being sent back Narumi's mindscape. Besides, you'll be better off without me, Naruto, as she closed her eyes as sparkles came out of her body and start floating up. No, there has to be a way I won't lose you again. I know you'll still be with me, said with sadness as tears started forming from his eyes. Kami, Shinigami, and Yami were also crying that their avatar was losing her and won't see her for a long time. They want to help him, but it was against the rules to interfere with life. As the sad moment couldn't get any worse, Naruto's mindscape started to light up from the floor to the roof. Naruto looked around and looked at himself. He also was fading as then stared to panic until he heard Yoko's voice and saw her legs were almost gone. It's too late, you're waking up. Do me this favor, take good care of the goddesses for me. Goodbye Naruto, I will see you again. I'm glad I got to meet you for the first time and that my heart will always belongs to you. As she said her last words, bright light surrounded her making Naruto cover his eyes. Yoko knew. Naruto screamed out to her trying to reach her, but nothing happened. End of song. Death Star Medical Room. Play Birth of the Twins Padam Destiny. The droids have completed Naruto's recovery on his eyes and made sure the new set of eyes fit perfectly, and when it was finally done, they wrapped a black handband on his eyes to make so they can be fully healed. Sidious had another thing he had in mind that he wanted to add to Naruto's features. Sidious told the droids to give him metal-like fingers, the one Star Killer has from the Force Unleashed, but this time 5 fingers. The last thing he wanted to add was mask helmet that belonged to a gifted student of his. Not only was student strong, but also wise. He thought that since Naruto is going to be the ruler of the galaxy, he thinks of giving him something to make people fear him. He gave the Revan's mask to the droids, and they slowly lowered the mask onto him attaching to his head then backed away as they were done, which left the Emperor and Naruto alone waiting to wake up. Naruto is slowly breathing that made the Emperor pull the lever that made the medical table slowly rise up until it stopped at a standing position. The 3 goddesses exited out of Naruto's mind and stood next to him to see how he was doing. They told Sidious how he accepted the deal and he nodded then approached Naruto. Lord Revan said with a weak voice, "Can you hear me?" Naruto turned his head at the source of the voice and said, "Are you the one called Lord Sidious?" That Kami-chan, Shiny-chan, and Yami-chan said, "You are," he said to the voice of the mysterious person he is talking to. "Yes, I am Lord Sidious, the one who will train you to use the Force," he responded. "Thank you, and yes, I can hear." Naruto now had a new master that will teach him new thing, but now was not the time as he asked his master a question. "Yoko-chan," Naruto said to him, "Is she still with me? Is she safe? Is she alright?" Kami whispered to the Emperor's ear, which he responded to Naruto's question. "It seems she was on the perch of death. She has gone back to Earth to return to your sister. It was the only way she can stay alive. I'm sorry." Naruto was at pause for a moment and started saying stuff on denial. "No, there had to be another way. She was still alive in my mindscape, I felt it." Naruto said with anger as everything in the medical room started to rumble and shake, even the droids were starting to break apart. Naruto easily torn apart his restraints that were keeping him on the table and walking slow going straight. The 3 goddesses tried to hold him back by embracing him with a hug, but he was still walking slow because enough though they were gods had their power, meaning he was strong as they are. Naruto stopped for a moment before he dropped down on his knees. He spread out his arms and extended his fingers as little bits of red lighting was appearing from his fingertips. Naruto screams out as all of his anger, causing so much damage to the medical room with his force lighting that looked like a bomb explode into the room. Naruto calmed himself. He heard his master again saying, "Rise, Darth Revan, and stand for are gifted to be my apprentice and will soon be the galaxy's new emperor." Naruto lowered his head down and placed his hand to his heart and said, "What is thy bidding, by master?" "You will rest first, you will get your eyesight back later on, but when they return you shall begin." As he walked away from him, Naruto was dragged by the goddesses taking him to his new room before Kami decided to speak. "Naruto. You'll see her soon, Naruto, remember her promise she said to you?" Naruto replied, "Yes, I promise I'll take care of you 3 and thank you all of you, and I promise you this, I will become powerful to protect the ones I care and love." The goddesses smiled and blushed at him for what he said as they placed him on his king-sized bed and joined him by sleeping with him. Naruto knew that his new life was going to be challenging, but is willing to do any for Kami, Shinigami and Yami-chan, but most importantly he is doing this for Yoko-chan. End of chapter. Chapter 4. New changes to the Empire and the Clone Army. Time skipped 7 years. Revan's years of training was a lot faster than unexpected from the help of the 3 goddesses and Lord Sidious, considering that all he ever does was studying and focusing on his training. He became a GT master in just 3 years. The other 3 years was practicing on his ninja skills, his ninjutsu, jinjutsu and taijutsu, memorizing every last detail he learns from his gifted eyes. With his ringed metal fingers becoming problem on performing jutsus with both hands, but he figured ninjas can perform them with only one hand and has become really good at it in whenever he was in combat. His fighting style became dual-wielded lightsabers holding them in reverse, Force Unleashed 2, which he practiced with 2 red lightsabers. He also had gotten amazing gifts from the 3 goddesses, besides the eyes which was Kami's idea. Her other sisters handed him 2 lightsabers, each had an engraved hilt. Yami's gift to Revan, the first lightsaber, was a white color that is surrounded with little bits of lightning, making it look like it was unstable but still easy to work with. It symbolizes a GT who are very calm and focused on the living force. Shinigami gift was the same gift as Yami's, except its color was black as midnight with a menacing. It seemed to scream danger to anyone who saw it with pure darkness, who is devoted to oneself, rather than severing a group or a master. The crystals are from the old cartoon Clone Wars where Anakin was on a mission to free the Novan warriors. I don't know what they're called, after he saves releasing them. Watch it on YouTube. It was from 2003, but this time the color of the 2 crystals are black and white. The last gift was from Lord Sidious. He said it belonged to his apprentice's student named General Grievous. His gift was a starfighter that was bulkier and hardier than the droid starfighters employed by the Confederacy of Independent Systems, with 2 rapid-fire triple laser cannons, capable of inflicting damage equal to that dealt by a V-wing starfighter, and 2 powerful main ion drives. The Belbelab was designed for a single pilot. The 3 goddesses told Revan that now he was a Jedi Master Sith Lord, it gives him the privilege to take multiple wives, and it considers him an adult that is old enough to take on anything that gets in his way. When Revan heard about having multiple wives he had pass out from a massive nosebleed that made the goddesses giggle because soon when he becomes a father to a lot of children, he would just be begging for someone to save him. The other part of his life was that his so-called master that he remembered what happened but was still worth it. Flashback. Whenever his lord flies off to something important like a meeting or such, Naruto would go into throne room and find some information about him on why he only knows the dark side and why would he go so far for him. He found a hidden button behind his rotating chair, he pressed it only to hear hidden door unlocking at the bottom of his feet. Revan investigated the hidden room finding a lot what seems to be cube-like crystals which his master calls them holocrons. He told him that holocrons are used to hold information on force techniques and instruction manuals by force users. Not only did he found more GD techniques, but also found holographic journal that is titled Empire Plans. Revan looked at the journal and he knew that this was the type of information he was looking for. The moment he unlocked to it and saw the words on it, he was shocked and horrified. His master has done terrible actions that he was only power-hungry, pure darkness, and cold-blooded. He enslaved most of the galaxy, controlled countless worlds, betrayed most of his allies, and terrorized civilization. But the thing got him the most was his plane for Order 66. It said that he tricked a Jedi called Anakin Skywalker on killing all the Jedi by hunting them down and anything that relates to them. His apprentice also killed his friends, but the one that filled Naruto with so much hatred emotion was he found a holographic recorder of Anakin killing innocent youngling children. Revan fell on his knees closing his ears with his hands trying his best to ignore to the screams, but he know that Sidious is behind all the suffering of others and the reason his clone army followed his rules is because the Emperor has treated them. If they didn't obey his rules, he would launch an assault on Kamino and destroy everyone and every last detail that created them. The clones never wanted this, nor did the Kamino workers didn't want to eliminate their Jedi friends, so they had no choice but to side with the Empire. Naruto waited for his master to return and thought of a plan to get rid of him once and for all. Death Star Midnight. Revan got out of bed and snuck hiding his presence well into Sidious' bedroom and stabbed his lightsaber through Sidious' head. He had the idea from Sidious when killed his own master in his sleep, for he wanted to be the only one to be the all-powerful Sith Lord, but for Revan it hard for him to do it. Sidious was the one that gave him a better life and treated him like a grandson that he never had, however Revan knew that it had to be done. After Lord Sidious' death, Naruto called everyone in the Death Star that he is giving an important announcement to make after everyone showed up at the landing platform where every soldier, guard, and staff stood in a straight line. When everyone was accounted for, Revan appeared with Kami, Shinigami, and Yami behind him, where he stood on top presenting himself to everyone with stool microphone in front of him. "Attention everyone, I Darth Revan have something I have to tell you," Naruto said, getting everyone to look at him. "As in today Lord Sidious is dead by my hands." Everyone gasped at the news and continued to listen to his speech. "As today you will follow my orders, but I want to let you know this, I will not make the same mistakes my master did. I plan on protect the innocents, help the weak, and bringing order to the whole galaxy, but if don't trust me enough." Revan lowered his head, raising his hand and pointing at the ships as he said, "You are free to leave, I won't blame you." The clone army was surprised what their proclaimed emperor had spoken. They given a choice, either they can stay here in the Death Star with their new emperor or they can leave. All the clones talked to one another discussing on what to do. After they were done talking, one of troopers walked up forward and lifted his hand at his forehead, thus saluting him. "We are at your command, your majesty." We never respected him, it was hard for us to betray our friends, but it was difficult for us to pull the trigger on them. "But if you said is true then we'd be glad to pledge our allegiance to you," the trooper said as the rest of the soldiers saluted to their new emperor, showing Naruto they pledged their loyalty to him. Naruto has been grateful for his army alliance, making Naruto saying with confidence, "I thank you for staying, and yes, I promise all the things I have said, because that is a promise that I will never break." There was complete silence. All the stormtroopers stared, saying Revan over and over again, raising fists up into the air. As of this moment Revan knew that this was the beginning of a new order for his brothers in arms. Flashback end. After news around the galaxy were told, everyone would fear the new ruler of the empire, but were soon relived for that the new emperor wasn't causing more problems, but fixing them instead, free slaves, stopping criminal acts and shutting down terrorized organization. Revan even made an alliance to the Republic by apologizing for his master's selfish deeds to Princess Leia Organa and her husband Han Solo, who are the leaders of the Republic. They accepted Revan's apology with a truce of peace that he promised to bring justice to all. Later in the years, Revan's army was small and thought that this was a problem that he cannot solve. One of Revan's generals told him of a place where they were created a long time ago, called Kamino, is also known as the Planet of Storms, was the watery world where the clone army for the Galactic Republic was created, as well as the Kamino home fleet. Revan was walking to his Solus One ship. He kept on walking when felt someone's presence. Stopping for a moment, he heard a grunt-like noise as Revan quickly turned around and looked up to see a short brown clean hair male with a beard and mustache, colossal GD outfit, and reddish-brown combat boots jump down from a short structure of a pillar. Revan activated his two black and white lightsabers and blocked the enemy's blue saber with both of his swords. The beard GD swung his lightsaber from left to right, but Revan countered the enemy using his own fingers, force pushing the intruder a few feet away from him. As the GD was knocked back on the ground, Darth Revan dashed at the defeated GD and stabbed him in the gut. All of a sudden the GD flashed, and it turned out to be Revan's holodroid companion and bodyguard Proxy that could change their appearance and copy abilities at will. In this story, Darth Vader doesn't make Galen Marek his apprentice, so that means Galen never meet Proxy. "Ah, Master, another excellent duel," said the kindly murderous droid. "I have to admit, Proxy, you did catch me by surprise. I haven't fought that training program in a couple of months. I thought you'd gotten rid of it," Revan said, smiling at his best friend, putting away his lightsabers clipping on his belt. "Well, I hope that using an older training program module would catch you off guard and allow me to finally defeat you." "I'm sorry I failed you again," Proxy said, looking at the ground with shame. "Don't worry, Proxy, you're getting the hang of it. Just keep trying and never give up, but listen, do me a favor. Don't ambush me anytime because I might end cutting you in pieces," said Revan, walking to the landing platforms where his starfighter is. "Also, you should stop trying to attack me because if the three goddesses found out you tried to attack me, they'll turn your ass into scrap metal again and it's hard for me to fix you up. I mean, first I found your body in the abandoned GD temple and saw it in good condition. I just knew that it will come in handy, but after I fixed you up you almost went haywire and tried to attack me." "As you wish, Master," Proxy said, bowing down at Revan. "And again, you don't have to bow down or call me Master Proxy. You're my best friend and I made a promise to you that you will be part of the GD Council when I asked the construction droids to rebuild the GD temple." Proxy's was designed to be a training droid for GD, but somewhere inside Proxy's system he wanted to be more than that. He always wondered if he'd be the first droid to ever become a GD master and be part of his master's council. Thanks to his copy abilities were like almost the same thing as Revan's Sharingan. Revan has been impressed with Proxy's potential that he made a promise to him that when the Whirlpool country Revan knew about his former mother birthplace, he didn't want anything to with it. However, he knew he was part Uzumaki in the past, saying when he grew up to be strong and take the place of Hokage from his father, he would have it rebuilt back to its former glory. But now, since he is the new emperor of the entire galaxy, and now that his sister was going to be the new heir to the Uzumaki clan, he could at least do is restore it, but he won't just build back together, he will make it more grand than ever before. He also know that it wasn't her fault, nor was his sister, for she was young and didn't understand like he was, and his mother was under a loyalty seal behind her neck when first saw it when he was younger, but he will soon return home and try to get rid of the seal from her neck and protect his sister with his life, but they have to earn his respect and say they will never leave him and promise to love him. "Thank you, Lord Revan, that means a lot to me. I will make you proud." "You're welcome, Proxy. I know you will. I also need your help with something that I have planned." "Anything, my lord?" "There's a certain group of Jinchuriki that I know they feel the same way as I do, and I fear that others will want to hurt them or only use them for a weapon, or all they want is their power that I heard the Akatsuki want. I want you to take some of our spy droids, locate them and give each of them a communicator that will give a recorded message of me giving the location of where to meet me. Well, you do that. I'm taking my starfighter to Kamino build an army. If I want to take the fight to the people of Earth, I need all the help I can get." "As you wish, Lord Revan," Proxy said, walking away to proceed the orders he was given. Revan traveled to that planet on his Solus One ship and activated his jump to light speed so that he can get there a lot faster. Revan arrived in Kamino, where it seemed to rain a lot everywhere that almost looked like the clone factory was being flooded with water. Revan landed his starfighter on the landing platform, seeing a long-necked creature called Kaminans who keep to themselves and are known for their cloning technology. Revan walked towards the entrance with a cloak covering his entire body to protect him from the harsh cold rain. Went inside the facility where the Kaminans greeted him with his presence, bowing their heads to him, showing respect to the new leader of the empire. "Master GD, we welcome you. Darth Revan as the Prime Minister has expected your arrival," the Kaminan said with calm female voice. Revan raised an eyebrow with confusion. "I'm expected. Of course, Lord Sidious did say that his new apprentice would arrive one of these years, but enough about that. The Prime Minister is anxious to meet you. After all these years we were beginning to worry you weren't coming. Now if you please, this way." the Kamanin said to Revan as he walked beside her following to where she was taking him. Revan saw a dead end at the end of halls, except when they got close to it opened like a automated slit door from the top and sideways. After the doors opened Revan saw another Kamanin, but with a different attire of clothing standing up and walked towards him as they came to a stop. "May I present Lama Su, the Prime Minister of Kamino," the female Kamanin said as Revan bowed his head to the Kamanin. "And this is Master," the female Kamanin paused not knowing the Emperor's name. "Revan, Darth Revan, and you can relax, I am nothing like my master," Revan said, making the Prime Minister know he wasn't a threat to them. The Lama Su nodded and said, "I trust that you came to discuss about the clone army you were hearing so much about." "Yes, I have." The chair lowered from the ceiling next to Revan. Lama Su asks him to take seat so that they can discuss to business. "All I want to say is that we thank you for what you done for us by freeing us from Darth Sidious' grasp." Revan rubbed the back of his head while smiling with embarrassment. "You're welcome, I just did what was doing the right thing, so what have you planned for my army?" Revan said, wanting to know clones' capabilities on fighting. "Ah yes, you will be happy to know that 200,000 units are ready with 1,000,000 more on the way, and I must say to you that they are one of the finest we've ever created." Revan eyes wielded, shocked how big his army he will command in battle, and responded, "Well, thank you Lama Su, I can't wait to see them in action." "We are delighted to hear you say that, however that there are the missing touches to the clone army, and we need your permission for it." Lama Su got out from his chair, pulling out two small holographic figures from his pocket, showing them in front of Revan. "There are two army designs that we want you to choose. Will you take the ones from the old Clone Wars, or you want to keep the previous one that Lord Sidious had?" Revan looked at the choices that Lama Su showed him and tried to make a decision. He didn't want to use the ones his old master used in the past. Revan turned his direction to the other holographic figure of clone army, with forged Phase 1 battle armor. There were aspects of the armor included the helmet's breath filter, a utility belt, and the boot's high traction soles. The Phase 1 battle armor used color to distinguish clone officers from each other and the rest of the rank and file stock. For instance, commanders were marked by yellow stripes, captains, lieutenants and sergeants were identified by red, blue and olive green respectively. Revan knew that they are the best of the best, and he thought that this is the army he was looking for. "I'll take the ones from the Clone Wars," Revan said to Lama Su. "Then it shall be, would like to see them now," Lama Su pointing at the direction where Revan's army. "Of course, but before we do that I want to add something a little bit powerful to my army," Revan asked Lama Su. "And what would that be?" "By rebuilding the GD temple on Coruscant and I'm building a new one on my homeworld on Whirlpool Country, and I want to make sure it is secure. Do you think you have anything that will make some of my clones into GD temple guards that can protect the temple?" "Yes we have a blood sample of a GD called Sifo Diaz, who served the GD order. He came here and asked us to build him. An army donated some of his blood, asking us if anything were to happen to him, he would ask us to make clones of himself so that his clones could fight alongside with the others. Is there anything I need to fear from them?" "No, we modified their brains to follow orders 100%, they are totally obedient, taking any order without question." "I thank you, may see the clone army now." "Of course, this way." Play the clone army on Attack of the Clone Wars. Revan walked forward to see a hanging platform with sidebars. When he got near the hanging platform he put his hands on the metal bars to see the clone. He was overwhelmed how many clones there were, and assumed there had be thousands than the ones in Konoha he saw when he was a kid. On the other side were the GD temple guards that Lama Su promised him and seen their newly equipped gear. They wore formal brown robes and identity-concealing masks, which displayed their sense of emotional detachment that was required in service to a higher calling. They carried large lightsaber pikes, double-bladed lightsabers that produced a yellow blade, which was considered rare among GD of the time. "Magnificent, aren't they?" Lama Su asked Revan, wondering what he thinks of his newly improved army that he created for his new emperor, which he severs and respects him. "Magnificent, are kidding, this is unbelievable. I'm glad to hear you say that." Revan was about to respond by thanking Lama Su until his communicator went off. He reached into his pocket and pulled it out, wondering who might be calling him. He activated it, only to see it was Proxy. "Lord Revan, have you assembled the army? Because someone on Earth needs our help. I think it's called Wave Country. It's run by Gato, and according to his file, he was a powerful shipping magnate whose shipping company was actually a front for much shadier activities, such as smuggling illegal goods and dealing drugs. He took control of the land of Wave's shipping routes and created a monopoly by isolating the country from the outside world, preventing free import and export, and turning it into an impoverished, hunger-stricken country in the process. He was a cruel man, responsible for humiliating and killing Kaiser in public for standing up to him. Kaiser's death immensely demoralized the people of Wave to the point that they no longer had the courage to stand up to Gato. Revan clutched hand to a fist, shaking with rage, but no, all he wanted to do was to take some of his rage and take down that worthless good-for-nothing roach and take back what were rightfully the villages. Yes, proxy, I have formed up an army and I will help the villagers get their land back, but remember you still have to find the ancient Shuriki. When you find them report back to me, understood? Yes, Lord, Revan can do. Revan ended the holographic message and made a call to the Death Star, contacting one of his generals to bring Star Destroyers to pick up the new clone army to travel to Earth to help Wave Country, and the rest guard the rest of the other planets. Each Star Destroyer carries 10,000 or more people on it. As the Star Destroyer arrived, the clone army loaded themselves onto the ship, then lifted away up into space. Revan got on his Solus One and followed suit, with him and his clone army behind his back as they prepared to jump to light speed to Earth. Look out, Earth, because Darth Revan about to show what is made of, Revan said with confidence, putting on his mask, then speed off along with his army behind him in a flash. Chapter end. Chapter 5, A New Hope for Wave. In space near Earth atmosphere. Revan arrived near Earth with his clone close behind him. As soon as they got close, Revan seen the village still hovering on top of it, where no one can see him, and it was worse than he can imagine. From behind his mask, his eyes were enhancing to get a better view, and what he saw shocked and angered him. There were some people on the streets that had signs strapped onto their chest, saying looking for a job, or will do anything for food, meaning that they were homeless. He even sees kids in rags, dirty faces, and scratched up clothing that were looking for food in the alley or trash cans. After looking at the mess Gato caused, he signaled his army to land at the docks near the village. While he landed right next to them, he got of his starfighter, saw a group of villagers looking at Revan with fear in their eyes. Revan was about to ask them a question when the Star Destroyer hatches opened up, showing the people of Wave an army wearing strange white armor and the others with different colors and robes with masks, holding various weapons. The villagers were about to run away and fearing that they will murder all the people in Wave until Revan shouted at them, "Wait, stop, we mean you no harm," making them stop, hoping that the masked person wasn't to them lying. Revan calmed himself down, looking at the rest of the group until he pointed at a man in front of the group and said, "You there?" The man in front of the group looked left and right, seeing if the mysterious person was talking to anyone, but nobody walked up forward. Then he pointed at himself, saying, "Me," asking if he was taking to him. "Yes, what is your name and what happened to the village?" Wanting get information on what this Gato person has caused. "My name is Akira Kib, last name means hope. I need help on names because I don't have any ideas on making up names, and Gato is the reason for all our suffering. He's been draining us and our poor village off everything we have. For those who couldn't pay were forced onto the street, sold off to be slaves or killed. Even our beloved children go around begging for food. We barely have enough money to live on ourselves." The news that the man gave Revan made his blood boil like lava that was ready to erupt with rage. He then hears Akira continue. "But Tazuna, my best friend, is building a bridge just west from here. We're hoping it could start a better life for us, but Gato caught word of it and he is planning on everything to prevent it from happening." "Where is this Tazuna you speak of? He is not a treat to me. I only wish to talk to him about helping out Wave Country." "I do not know. He said that he left Wave Country to go to Konoha to get help by hiring ninja so that they can help us, but we don't know when he will be back." "Do you know anyone? When will he be back?" "You can try talking to his daughter Tsunami. She lives not far from here with her son Inari." "Thank you, Akira." Revan bowed his head at him, then turned to his army about to give them new orders. "General Jean, take about 1,000 men and guard the village from Gato's mercenaries. Keep at least 1 or 2 alive to interrogate them. I want Gato found, and I want that bastard found and dead, and want 2 men guarding the entrances and exits. If the civilian have any business outside the village, they are to be escorted by our solders. Commander Alex, tell your men to bring out the 2 gunships from the Star Destroyer from Attack of the Clones and scout the outside area for enemy campsites. No doubt that is where they're keeping the civilians' families hostage." "Yes, Lord." Revan, Alex and Jean said, saluting their lord, then turn around facing the clone. "Alright, you all have your orders, now let's move it, people." "Yes sir," they all shouted out the left to proceed with their duties that they were given. Revan watched his army going on with their jobs until he was interrupted by Akira. "Why," he said with confusion, "why would you go all this way for us? We don't even what we are going to pay you back." Revan walked towards Akira, placing his hand on his shoulder and looking at him, looking serious. "This country's freedom is all I care about, and mark my words, my friend Gato won't die a quick painless death." Revan took his hand off Akira's shoulder, then walked off to Tazuna's daughter's house, while the people behind him stared at their savior with hope in their eyes, knowing that things are going to get better. Tazuna's household. Revan arrived at the house. He knocked on the door waiting for an answer when the door slid open, and Revan was quite surprised when he saw who opened the door. It was a woman in her late 20s, assuming to be Tsunami, wearing short-sleeved pink shirt and wearing dark blue blouse, but was still the most beautiful he's seen, but still thinks that Yoko is the only one who is wonderful. The woman he is staring at had long dark blue hair that framed her face. She had an amazing body that some people would kill for, with firm and perky C-cup breasts, a flat stomach and long lean legs. When Tsunami opened the door, she was greeted by a man wearing a red and black helmet mask she never seen before. The man was standing tall at 5'9". She could see the body he had through his clothes that fit him nicely. He was wearing a robe-like combat outfit that has a red leather fur on the right side shoulder, a dark blue hooded cloak with a black combat pants, with brown boots. On his left thigh he had his weapons contain 2 silver cylinders. "Are you the daughter of a man named Tazuna?" he asked a woman to see if she was the one he was supposed to discuss the news about the village. "Yes I am, but who are you?" she said, wondering who this person wants and worried he might be a paid assassin to kill her family. "My name is Revan, Darth Revan, may I come in?" "Sure," Tsunami said as she opened the door letting him in her house. After he enters, Tsunami asked him if he wanted some tea, he said yes, then pulled out a chair, sat at the table waiting for Tsunami for the tea. "If you are wondering if I am one got os minions, you're wrong. I am an emperor that came here to this village to help in its dire of need." Revan said when Tsunami bringing the tea to the table. Relieved that this person wasn't a mercenary trying to kill her family, but is curious on why he said he was helping her home. "The reason I'm helping is because I don't want this place to suffer any longer and will anything to protect anyone who are dear to me. So now you know that I am not a treat. Can you tell when your father will return?" "Yes, he said he will be back in 2 weeks," she said to him. "Thank you miss, you are truly helpful and I thank you." Tsunami has been touched by his words that started to blush a little. She was about to tell him with a thanks but was interrupted when Revan spoke again. "I sense you, young one, you don't have hide from me or your mother." They heard footsteps coming upstairs walking down and what came down was small child. He has spiky black hair and dark colored eyes. He wore a green jumpsuit with a yellow shirt and a simple pair of sandals. Revan saw the boy's eyes as if some sucked the life joy and happiness out of him. Revan knew something was wrong with him. He sensed inside him that he lost someone very precious to him. "Inari, it is not polite to listen to other people's conversation," Tsunami said at the boy, which Revan assumed to be the women's child. "I'm sorry, but why? Why do you want to help us? There's no way that you can beat Gato and his men. You'll just get yourself killed like everyone else. You think you can come here and everything will be alright again? None of you know how much we suffer and how hard life is for us." With that said, Inari ran upstairs into his room and slammed his door. "It's quite alright, it's nice to meet you," Revan said, smiling behind his mask, extending his arm with an open hand. Expect a handshake, but only God was Inari looking down, saying it was nice meeting him, before running up to his room. "Inari," Tsunami shouted, trying to make the boy come back for being disrespectful to her quest. She was about to go after him, but Revan quickly put a hand on her shoulder, stopping her. Revan closed his eyes from inside his mask and said he lost someone precious to him, hasn't he? Tsunami was shocked at the question and nodded. Tsunami and Revan both sat at the dinner table where she told him a very sad tale of a man named Kaiza who once been a hero, same story as the anime, but this time Tsunami tells the story. "A few years ago we had a bad storm. The local dam was starting to break, so one of our people went into the raging water to try to fix it. He wasn't able to make it to the dam and was swept underwater. We didn't know what to do until someone jumped into the water and brought him back to shore. Then he went back in and managed to fix the dam. My father learned his name was Kaiza, who was a traveling fisherman who came to the land of waves to seek new opportunity. Over the years he became the father Inari never had and the brother I never had. When Gato arrived, Kaiza tried to stop him from taking over the country, but he was captured and publicly beheaded in the town square by Gato to show what happens to those who oppose him." Revan was shocked. This was the same Kaiza proxy gave him intel about Gato. The way Tsunami told about Kaiza, he sounded like a great brave man, even almost like his clone army, but now he understood why Inari is acting like this. The loss of a person, they can change their emotions, much like Revan's own life, people acting like he doesn't exist at his old home village. But all that changed when the 3 goddesses made him their avatar. Revan didn't want to see a child in pain, so he told Tsunami he decided that he have a talk with at dinner and tell him about his life. She nodded and thanked him, then went to the kitchen to make dinner for him and her son. Azuna's household living room, 7 p.m. Revan helped Tsunami set up the table by setting the chair and helping make dinner for them. Inari came downstairs still with an emotionless face, looking down on the ground with a depressed look on his face as he took his seat. Tsunami took her seat next to him, son trying to comfort him to make sure he doesn't lose his temper again. As Revan brought the food to the table, Tsunami and Inari began to eat. Revan wanted to eat as well, but he remembered that he was still wearing his mask under his hood. He removed his hood, revealing his entire head to the family, making them gasp, for they think he might be injured in an accident. They were interrupted when Revan spoke. "Don't mind me, I'm just taking this mask off so I can eat." When he removed his whole entire mask, showing his full head, which shocked both Inari and Tsunami, but for Tsunami her face was blushing red, for she saw the most handsome man in the world. He had short long brown hair that covered his left eye, no trace of body fat, and no wrinkles or scars anywhere on his face. After he took off his mask, placing it on the table, then proceeded on eating. Revan saw Inari barely eating on his plate and decided enough was enough. He got up from out of his chair and took a seat next to Inari. "I heard about Kaiza. He sounded like a brave man. Naruto said, looking at Inari, which made him look at him. I can't help but think that he would be disappointed in how you're acting this way. You have a mother and grandfather who love you with all their heart, who would die for you, and when they see you are hurting, it hurts them too. But don't let Kaisa's death get you down, it wasn't your fault. So you listen to me, Inari, you got the makings of greatness within you somewhere in your heart, but you have to take the risks that arrive unexpected. No matter how difficult it is, just keep going, and when the time comes you get the chance to test your strength and show everyone what you made of. Well, I hope I'm there, standing there beside, showing you that I am proud of you. Can anyone find out where this quote was from? Inari looked at Revan, still weeping, but what Revan said, it reminded him of Kaisa, that he told him to live his life so that he will have nothing to regret and to protect those he care about, including his mother and grandfather. What Revan didn't accept was Inari hugged him. Revan felt the wet tears absorbing from his cloths. Revan didn't know what to do, he never how to convert children, so he did was hugged him back. I know life seems hard and unfair and we can't change the past, but it will get better if you're willing to fight for it like Kaisa did and like your grandfather is doing. He is risking his life building that bridge so you can have a better life, but it's not just for you, it's for everyone. He said, letting go from the hug, and stood up. Inari looked at him and asked, but what can I do? I'm just a little kid. I don't want to see my mother and grandfather set hurt. Revan looked down at Inari and smiled, have faith in yourself and others. I can teach you some amazing techniques that are beyond anyone's imagination. While I'm here, as in today, you will become my apprentices. But most importantly, help your mother and grandfather become happy again and keep them safe. Inari nodded at that with a small smile, and Revan told him to continue to eat. Tsunami was inspired of Revan's words to Inari, and she never seen Inari smile before, and it was all thanks to him. When they continued to eat, she couldn't keep her eyes of Revan. What is this feeling? Have I fallen for him? He changed Inari from being depressed to being back to his normal self. He even acted like a father figure to my son, but would he love me or would he just ignore me? All she can do wait, and when the time is right she will tell him how she feels. Azuna's household living room, 8 p.m. After everyone was done eating, Inari yawned, rubbing his eyes, which Revan and Tsunami knew it was past his bedtime. Kiddo, time for bed. Your training with me begins in the morning, and I don't want a tired student of mine lazy in the morning, so you best get some shut-eye, Revan said, ruffling Inari's hair, making him smile. Okay, good night, Ka-san, Revan-san. Inari walked back to his room, leaving Tsunami and Revan alone. I better get to sleep too. Tsunami-san, is there a guest room I can sleep in? Yes, but it hasn't been used in years, and I feel like I haven't cleaned it in a while, so you'll be sleeping in my grandfather's room. Would that be okay with you? If not, we can sleep separated in my room, she said with a blush. If it's alright with you, I'd be delighted. While Tsunami was sleeping, Revan was still awake. He wondered what he would teach Inari, but was interrupted when he felt that someone was touching his hand. He turned around to see Tsunami fully awake, holding his hand while blush. Have something on your mind? I just want to thank you for helping my son change his mind about heroes, and that if it wasn't for I don't know what I will do without my son if he continued this way, she said with sad voice. With tears forming on her eyes, she buried her face on her pillow. Revan brought her face to his, and as they got closer, Tsunami's heart was beating fast. Their faces were close together as their lips met, and Tsunami couldn't believe how amazing it felt. They broke apart and he smiled at her and pulled her down to lay next to him. She cuddled up to him and laid her head on his chest. I don't know where this will lead to, but I'm willing to give it a try. I can't say I love you yet, but with time I know I will. There is also something else you need to be informed of if we are to see where this leads. Revan said as she looked up to his face. Also, I am the last of my kind, GT of course, and I need to have multiple wives. I will not pressure you into answering now and will let you think it over. Revan said as he kissed her forehead. But that settled. Tsunami's cuddled up next to him. Sweet dreams, Tsunami-chan, he said and kissed her forehead, getting a smile from her, and fell asleep with her in his arms. Konoha village. Things around Konoha haven't been going so well. After Naruto's kidnapping, things around Konoha have gone bad. First was the Uchiha massacre. Itachi killed every one of his clan that was ordered by the consul, for the Uchiha were planning an attack on the Leaf village, but only Itachi spared his brother Sasuke and his mother Mikoto. The reason he let his brother live is he thought that his mother can change his ignorance and selfish ways, but it turns out to be a failure from the start. The other was Kushina and Narumi are crying with emotions appear in their faces, but the main emotion is anger. They were angry at their husband father. After the whole incident at the party, Kushina came back to the Namika's mansion with an unconscious Minato. She puts him on a nearby chair, then she is bombarded by Narumi. She wanted to know what happened to Naruto and why she looks like so devastated. Kushina told her what happened to Naruto. These caused Narumi cry more. She can't believe what happened, that her brother was kidnapped and that her own father does something horrible to his brother. But no was not the time. She went to the house library with Narumi, finding out what was the mark on the back of her neck. It took her minutes to find what she was looking for, but she finally found it. It turns out that she was in a loyalty jutsu that causes the victim to forget the one she cares and is always listening to the user. She then realized that the only person to ever do this was her so-called husband. Both were now furious, for they want do nothing more than to beat the living daylights out of Minato for causing Naruto to be alone for the rest of his life. They even found out that Minato allowed the villagers to beat up her child until they think he's dead. Kushina and Narumi couldn't call themselves his family, but wherever he might be they hope he will come back so they can say they're sorry for not being there for him. Kushina told Narumi that they are leaving the mansion and that she is going to divorce Minato. She asked her to pack her things in scrolls so she can carry everything she needs, while Kushina had plans of her own. 1 hour later, Minato woken up from his damages. He stood up from his chair but heard something drop to the ground silently. He looked down to see a piece of paper. He picked it up and saw writing on it. He looked at it closely and sees that it was Kushina's handwriting. "I am leaving you. It was all your fault. That you're the reason I acted like a complete fool thanks to that hooded figure's lighting attack. It took care of that loyalty seal you put on me. You have no idea how pissed I am at you for causing my son so much pain. This marriage is over and I'm taking Narumi with me. Goodbye, Hokage." Minato could not believe this. His years of planning were ruined by that mysterious hooded person who destroyed the seal that he placed on his wife, keeping her loyalty to him, but all that has gone to waste. "Damn you, whoever you are, but you only got in the way of my plan to make this village perfect for the people," coughed Danzo cough, "but I'll figure out who you are later. Now I have to think of a plan to take back what's mine." After so many years, Minato tried to convene Kushina to come back to him, but she still refused. Narumi got enrolled in the ninja academy. She trained her heart for herself and was now on Team 7 with her mother to make sure she stays by her side, keeping her safe. Also, her sensei is Kakashi and her teammate Sasuke and Sakura, but she knew why she was placed on that team. Her sensei is her Hokage student and that Sasuke was making attempts on making her his wife, except Sasuke would get bet up to bolt by her. After so many D rank missions, Team 7 was currently in front of the Hokage's door. Narumi sighed before Sakura opened the door to the Hokage's office. There, sitting down on the chair, was Minato Namikaze and the old man. Everyone glanced at the old man for a second and paid their attention to Minato. "Team 7 mission success, Minato-sensei," said Kakashi. Sasuke was brooding in a corner, Sakura gazing at his coolness, and Narumi was giving Minato an emotionless look, for it was her Hokage. Minato sighed. He had gotten used to that look after the kidnapping of his son. How he wished to have that child back so he can get back his family and his image. It's because of that child Kushina found out about everything. He just sighed and put it to the back of his mind. Truthfully, he didn't really care as long as he was Hokage. He didn't need to worry about small things like those. The village came first and that's what he needs to do to ensure that the village is safe and on top. "That's great to hear, Team 7. Report here tomorrow and you'll have another mission," replied Minato. Kakashi nodded while Sakura frowned. "Hokage-sama, can we have a C-ranked mission? I mean, we already completed like over 200 D-ranked missions," asked Sakura, hoping she'd get a yes. Minato pulled out a scroll, which were Team 7 records. Minato was examining its record. "It seems you are correct. Fine, then hope that you can handle this. This man here, his name is Tazuna and he needs an escort to Wave Country. This is a C-ranked mission. Do you want to accept?" asked Minato. "Yes, I think my team can handle it," replied Kakashi with a nice smile. Minato nodded and looked over to Tazuna, who nodded. Sakura squealed at having the chance to prove herself to Sasuke. Sasuke just huffed and Narumi sighed. After they walked outside with Tazuna. "Okay team, we will be meeting at the gates the next morning and remember to pack for at least a week," said Kakashi before disappearing in a puff of clouds. Narumi went back to her home as fast as she could to rest for the big mission tomorrow. When she got to bed, she looked up to the ceiling thinking about her brother, the one she lost, and couldn't confess her feelings. She only hoped that wherever he might be, she hopes that he will return and she can tell him how she feels for him. Chapter end. Chapter 6, A New Hope for Wave Part 2. Morning, Leaf Village Gate. The next morning, Narumi waited with Tazuna for her team and her mother, who arrived wearing her old gear she used to wear when she went on missions. She came an hour earlier than the supposed time, so she waited with her daughter and Tazuna. They talked for a little bit, getting to know each other. Narumi learned that Tazuna has a daughter and grandson and owns an inn. After the talk, Team 7 arrived along with their sensei. Tazuna and Team 7 were currently walking to Wave Country. The sky was clear and sunny, a perfect day people would say. While walking, Sakura was giving looks to Sasuke as usual, while Sasuke gave looks to Narumi. Narumi was currently talking with Tazuna, Kakashi reading the infamous orange book, and Kushina glaring at the emo Uchiha, making sure he better not lay a hand on her daughter. "We should be there by sundown," said Tazuna. Team 7 nodded and continued walking. On the pathway, Kakashi and Kushina noticed a small but big-sized puddle. Even Kushina knew not to go near that puddle, knowing it would trigger a trip. They all walked past the puddle cautiously. When they were a yard or two away, one people emerged from the pond. Both were wearing gas masks and Kiri headbands. Kakashi recognized them as the demon brothers Gozu and Maizu. They wrapped chains around Kakashi, then ripped him apart, leaving Team 7 dramatized including Tazuna who was sacred of dying. After the demon brothers killed the team sensei, they both instantly charged at the nearest target, which happened to be Tazuna. Narumi noticed them and took out her katana ready to defend him, but Kushina beaten her to it. Kushina jumped into the air and sent Gozu a spinning roundhouse kick in the face, sending him flying backwards. Maizu tried attacking Kushina with his gauntlet hand, but Kakashi appeared, dodged it and kneed Maizu in the stomach, knocking him out. Just what the hell was that all about, Sakura said, getting everyone's attention, but soon ignored her as everyone turned their heads to Tazuna who coughed, getting everyone's attention, for it was because of him that the demon brothers were after. But Tazuna asked them in question. Why where does two after you, Kushina said, wanting to know what was going on. I don't know what you're talking about. This caused Kushina to grab him by the neck, making him look at her deadly eyes. I know that you are lying to us, so either you tell us what's going on or we're leaving this mission. Okay, I tell, just let me go, he said to Kushina. She nodded as she let go of him to let him explain. He told them that village was under the control of Geto who caused pain to his home village and that nobody was brave enough to stand up to him until a local fisherman named Kaiza stood up to him. However, he was captured by Geto's men, he was beaten, tortured, and the last part of the story got to Team 7. Geto's henchmen killed Kaiza in the town square in public and declared that anyone don't follows his rules they will be sentenced to death. Team 7 were shocked to hear this. This Geto person is controlling this people like they are his slaves, and if they were to disobey his rules the people would be killed. So you see, I hope that someone from your village would help us. We're building a bridge to make trades to other villages, and once we do that it will bring our people hope, so will you help us? We really need your help. Narumi and Kushina knew this old man was begging for their help. Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura had other things on their minds. Kakashi thought that if they helped Tazuna this will bring Konoha an alliance with them. Sasuke thought that if he do this Narumi will be on her knees begging him to be with him. Oh my god, would someone get me a gun, and so I can put a bullet on this emo prick's head, it will do the world a favor. Plus it will prove that the Uchiha is stronger than anyone. As for Sakura, she was staring at Sasuke. How in the world she became a ninja in the first place, useless fangirl. She also won't lose to Narumi, since Sasuke always asked Narumi on dates. This got Sakura pissed, she wanted to be the one, be Sasuke's crush, so she wasn't going to let this mission pass on. We'll do it, we'll help free your people from Geto's hands, Kakashi said, with everybody agreeing to it. They continued walking along the path when Team 7 and Tazuna noticed that they were covered in mist and it was really hard to see. Tazuna was still a good distance away from them, but they could still see him. Kakashi sensed a person with a powerful chakra signature. Duck, Kushina yell out. Kakashi pulled down Sasuke and Sakura down to the ground, while Kushina brought Narumi and Tazuna down, avoiding a large menacing blade spinning rapidity. Kakashi's eyes widened when he noticed what happened. It was Zabuza who drowned his giant sword at them. Momochi Zabuza, demon of the hidden mist. Expert in silent killing, A rank missing nin, what are you doing here? Kakashi asked, who was a little nervous for the safety of his team Kushina and Tazuna. Well, if it isn't Kakashi Haddock of the Sharingan, or should I say the copy ninja, said Zabuza with a monotone voice. The old man is mine, he glared at Kakashi and releasing killing intent. Protect Tazuna, you three, Kushina, you with me, ordered Kakashi when he realized what was going to happen. Team 7 quickly ran to Tazuna but froze when they felt the killing intent strengthen while Kushina pulled out her katana. Zabuza then dashed towards Tazuna with his sword ready to strike at Tazuna. Kakashi tried to stop him but was stopped by Kushina's blade. The rumors are true, you truly are the Red Death of Konoha, Zabuza said to Kushina. I'm guessing people around every other village know about me, but why are you trying to kill the bridge builder, she asked the bandage missing nin. It's none of your concern for what I plan to do, all I know is that I'm being paid top ryo, or top dollar is how people say it, to kill this old man, and nothing, not even you will stop me from get that bounty, Zabuza said evilly. Both Kushina and Zabuza continued to clash swords, but Kushina had the advantage for she was known to be one of the best sword wielder that ever lived. She pushes off Zabuza blades making him skid back, he disappeared in a puff of smoke out of Kushina's sight, then reappeared in front of Kakashi making hand signs. Water style. Water prison jutsu. Kakashi was trapped in a sphere of water, unable to move. Ha, what are you going to do now that your Sharingan user is trapped in my prison of water, he said smirking under his bandages. Kushina did nothing but formed hand signs of her own, then she lifted both of her hands at Zabuza and yelled out ninjutsu summoning. Chakra chain barrage, 2 silver chains shot out from her hands towards Zabuza, which he didn't suspect her to do. He was wrapped all over with chains and could not get free from them. What is this jutsu? Can't get myself out of this chains, he thought with confusion. He then stared to felt weak all of a sudden that his vision started to become blurry. What the hell is going on? I feel like all my chakra is being taken. If you're wondering why you feel weak is because my chains can absorb your chakra and now that you're trapped it also cancels out your jutsus that you performed. Zabuza looked at his left side where he placed his water prison jutsu on Kakashi started to fall apart, thus freeing Kakashi. He pulled out a kunai and pressed it against Zabuza's neck. This is your end, Mamachi. Zabuza, you have any last words before your end? I'm not sure if I have any last words. Zabuza couldn't finish his sentence when all of a sudden a blue-like laser hit him in the back of the head. He fell down to the ground unconscious. This surprised everyone. They turned their attention where the blast came from and what they saw was a strange person wearing a green cameo-like armor from its head to its toe and behind this person were about 10 or more behind him but had a different kind of color than the one up front. The one up front is a ARC Commander Colt in Phase 2 armor but also I changed the clone's color because pretty much they would be a easy target. I haven't thought about it until now. I stunned him, sir, a soldier from the front said. Good work, Joe. Troopers put him in restraints. You two with me. They walked towards Tazuna, but Narumi, Sasuke, and Sakura kept their guard to protect Tazuna. Stand down, children, we're just here on a mission to bring this bridge builder back to his village by order of our Emperor Lord Revan. Team 7 were shocked to hear about this but the one more shocked was Tazuna. However, this Revan person is he commanded his army to help him, but what would he gain from this? He just hoped this person isn't worse than Gato. Kushina was having a serious look at one of the solders. These were the same people that kidnapped her son. She told Narumi how Naruto was taken by this people. This was the only chance she can find out where her missing son is, but this men have a different type of armor, still she wasn't let that go. Narumi wasn't going to let them get away either. If this people were the ones that took her brother, they know where he is. If you will come with us, Tazuna, we will grant you your safety. Hold on, Kushina interrupted the commander of the group. I have questions for your emperor that want to be answered. I sorry miss, but unless Tazuna want you and your team to come along, then it's his decision not ours to let you join us back to the village. So Tazuna, what would you have us do? Do you want the team you hired to protect you to come with us or you want to leave with us? It's your choice. Tazuna wanted to see his family hoping that they were safe, however for the team he hired were still with him. The least he can do was thank him for protecting him from those dangerous ninja and bring back to the inn to rest. They helped me from danger and protected me all this time. I would like for them to join us back to the village. Then let's move out. Zach, Tom, you help Joe with carry the unconscious tyrant. There's no doubt that he is one of Gato's men. We'll bring him to village to integrate. Yes sir, they both saluted. And soon every continued to wave. Behind them was a masked mysterious person standing on a tree branch. Look at the group with murderous eyes as the Solders taking away her teacher father. Don't worry Zabuza-sen, I'll find a way to save you. Wave country docks. Both the clone army and Team 7 were close to the entrance to the village where they had to take a boat so that they may get to the other side. If we're going to my home we must ask for my friend's boat. Akira will give us passage to the village and then we circa. Tazuna stopped taking when he saw more of those armored men with strange transportation floating on the sea but was surprised that his friend was on the boat-like craft that had a giant fan on the back and it has two mini truants on the back of it. It's the one from the Gears of War 2. Here's the link for what it looks like. Stories 2008. I could find any sea crafts on Star Wars. Tazuna-san, it's good to see you my friend, Akira said with excitement, running to Tazuna with his arms open to give him a hug. I'm so glad that the clone army protected you along the way. Well, it wasn't them, I had help from these ninja. He presented them to Tsunami. Oh well, thank for protecting my best friend. You're welcome, Kushina said, giving him a small bow. Anyways Tazuna, you are not going to believe what the best thing that happened to our village. What is it? It's been wonderful. It's like Kami has answered our prayers. They sent us a hero that is protecting us from Gato's thugs. His name is Darth Revan, who says he is a powerful emperor, that he is the protector of the innocents. He brought back our family members from being Gato slaves. Thanks to his clone army, he even became the father that Inari never had. But that said, everyone except the clone army, Kushina and Narumi, were surprised that a powerful emperor helped an entire village, but that still doesn't cut the fact that he knows where her son is. Narumi was on the same page as Kushina. This emperor has her brother and will do anything to see him. Kakashi was interested on this emperor person. He wondered if he is willing to join an alliance with the Leaf Village. Not only will it make Konoha powerful, but they will have an advantage from all the other countries. Anyways, let's get you and the others home. I think your family will be really happy to see you. Akira and the rest of the other aboard the boat while the other clone troopers took Zabuza on another boat. Where are you taking Zabuza? Kakashi asked them in question. Our ruler ordered us to hunt down these kind of people that dares harm the citizens of Wave. They are to be brought to the prison cell to be interrogated, so we might have a lead on Gato. You have nothing to worry about him, he will not bother you any longer, the trooper said, taking their leave. After they got off the boat, Tazuna could not believe what he seen. The whole entire town was different. There were clean streets, men, women, and children have clean fresh clothes. The parents would go about their lives while their children were playing. Izuna never seen this kind of happiness before. Who would have thought an emperor could bring so much joy to this people? He just wondered how he changed Inari from his depressed ways. All he knew that he has to thank him for helping everyone. Izuna's house. Team 7 arrived at Izuna's house. Izuna knocked on the door, knowing her daughter would always answer it. He heard the door slide, and what Team saw was a woman where Team 7 assumed to be Izuna's daughter. "Father, you're home. It's good to see you, Tsunami-chan. I've heard rumors that you have gotten married to an emperor." Tsunami forgot on how her father will react to this. "But from what I heard, he helped everyone, including Inari, that he changed him from being sad all the time to being a happy child again. Listen, all I care is for all of your happiness. If you love him that much, then I'm okay with it." "Thank you, father. I don't mean to bother you." Tsunami-san. Kakashi interrupted the family reunion, "But can you tell us where your husband is?" "Is outside behind our house training my son." "Training?" Izuna asked in question. Inari wanted to be strong so that he can protect the ones that are precious to him. When everyone was outside, they saw a hooded person sitting at the ground with his legs crossed, where it looked like he was meditating. Kushina looked at the hooded figure, wondering if this was the same person that took her Sachi away. She walked towards the emperor, but was interrupted when a boy jumped from the bushes with light blue sword that gave out a hissing noise. The team never seen a blade like that before. The only thing that glowed before were ninjas channel their chakra with blades. The boy was in the air about to strike the hooded figure, but was stopped in mid-air, which shocked everyone instead of Tsunami, who walked in the scene. The boy was blown back by an unknown force away from Revan, making him skid back, keeping his balance, making sure he didn't fall backwards. Revan got up from the ground after he stood up. He reached for his lightsaber from his belt. He activated it, showing a white kind of color, but it showed tips of electricity coming from it. Inari charged at him again, running at him with both hands on his lightsaber. He brought his lightsaber down, however Revan easily blocked his attack with his own lightsaber, only using one hand. He is so powerful that he can never lose his grip on his blade. Inari kept on giving a barrage of attacks, but it was no good. Revan stood at the same exact spot where he sat down. Both Revan and Inari continued clashing swords together, but only Inari was attacking. He soon got tired from trying to force Revan to lose his guard. Revan saw the opportunity and swung his blade upwards, where Inari lost his grip of his lightsaber. His lightsaber was in the air, then fallen down on Revan's hand, leaving Inari defenseless. "You held your blade bit lightly, thus giving your opponent an opening," Revan said. Inari, who was catching his breath. "Sorry Tusan," Inari said to Revan. "It's alright Inari, you're doing a lot better, but remember what I said, always let your opponent attack you first by letting him or her tire themselves. Patience are our greatest weapon, do you understand?" Revan said to Inari, ruffling his son's hair, where Inari looked to his father smiling at him. "Thank Tusan," Inari gave him grin. "Come on, that's enough practice, let's go inside. Your mother is making our special din." Revan paused at the moment his eyes wielded, seeing his birth mother and her sister. Out of all the people in Konoha, they bring Kushina and Narumi. Revan thought with anger in his eyes, but he soon remembered that Narumi bears the nine-tailed fox or his first love Yoko in his past. He tried to find a way to get her out of prison. He also noticed that he wasn't wearing his armored mask, which he feared he would be recognized. He saw their reactions and saw that they didn't change. His hood was covering his blue eyes, because that would be the first thing they remember. "Hello there, is there anything you want? If there isn't, then I want you gone," Revan said in a mature tone. Kakashi want to talk to him if he is willing to make an alliance, but Kushina beat her too. "Where is my son?" Kushina said with dead tone voice. Kakashi, Sakura, Sasuke forgot about the Hokage's son from a long time ago. "Excuse me, who are you referring to?" Revan asked Kushina. "My son Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze." Revan told Inari and Tsunami who he was in the past, and they swore not to speak of it, for if Revan meet his old mother and sister again, he told them how much he felt. "Inari, get inside house and tell your mother to make dinner for everyone," he told his son, still looking at the Uzumaki. Inari nodded and ran back to the house to tell his mother. When he got into the house, Revan spoke to Kushina. "You and the girl," pointed at Narumi, "follow me, but for the rest of your team stays in the house." Kakashi was about to protest against until Kushina said, "You stay here Kakashi, me and my daughter will go alone, and if you even think about following I will completely destroy all of your Icha books." Kakashi didn't want to feel Kushina's wrath, so he decided it was best to just go with it as the emperor, and the two Uzumakis left, leaving Team 7 at the house. Star Destroyer's main hangar. Revan sat on the main hangar chair, drinking one of the finest sakes, looking out the window, where he got a view of the townspeople living out their lives peacefully, and his clone army patrolling the around looking for any signs of trouble, while Kushina and Narumi were standing behind him. "So you wish to know what happened to Naruto?" Revan said, still looking outside. "Is that right?" Yes, why should I give away his location to you? If I recalled, he told me how he was treated back from your home village and how much hatred he held from you too. But all that went aside when he first met Yoko, or as you people call the Kyuubi, he said, which caused both of the Uzumakis to gasp. Narumi once visited Yoko in her mindscape and how she cared for Naruto like a true friend unlike her. This caused the both of them to lower their hands in shame with tears in their eyes, knowing how much pain the both treated Naruto, but they wanted to redeem themselves for their past mistakes. This time Narumi stepped in and got on her knees and hands on the floor, bowing down to him. Please, I beg of you, I want to see him again. Kushina was surprised on Narumi's action. Kushina knew that she loved her Ani-san more than just a sister. Her mother found out that Narumi has a crush on Naruto and wanted to give her feelings to him. Revan turned his chair around, looking at Narumi in constant state. He puts down his drink on the side of the chair and sighs. Why in the world do you want to see him? What is this person to you? Because I love him, not just sister, but someone who wants to be with him. Revan's eyes were now wide and that his drink fell down the ground, making it shatter into little pieces. He never knew that his own sister had loved him since they were kids. Revan couldn't even think anymore. All he wanted is to bring freedom and justices to Earth and to get back Yoko from Narumi. Now that his ex-sister told him he loved him more than just a regular sister, he didn't know what to do. Sachi, Kushina said, catching Revan and Narumi's attention. He forgot that when he dropped his drink, which caused to flinch. Sachi, please tell me, is that really you? Kushina said with tears in her eyes, hoping that he was him. Revan knew he couldn't get out of this one. He stood up from his chair and lifted both his arms on his hood, then pulled it down, revealing his whole entire head to both of them. At first they blushed because he was handsome, but when they regionalized his eye color, that he was indeed their missing Naruto. Narumi finally found her brother, but she just remembered that he was married to the bridge builder's wife, which caused her to cry. Look, before you say anything, this does not leave the ship. No one from the Leaf or anyone must know who I am, because I plan on bringing peace. You must not tell anyone, understand? Narumi and Kushina nodded, knowing that they wanted to gain his trust. But Revan said, putting on his hood back on and leaving until Kushina and Narumi ran at him, embracing him in a hug. Sachi, I want to say I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you. I was under the control of Minato. He placed a memory seal on me to make sure I was following his way. Please, you have to believe me. Revan got out of their hug and said without looking at them, I know my master told me you had something going on the back of your neck. I found out what it was, and it was hard to believe you were controlled. Kushina was relieved that her son believes her, but I don't know if can trust you too. I know that it wasn't your fault, but I am not your brother or son anymore, bringing tears to the girls again. What do you mean? Narumi said. What does he mean when he said he was no longer related to them? When I was tortured by those Chunin back in Konoha, I was saved by a hooded man named Darth Sidious, who took me away from this planet, he said, caused both of them to be in more shock. People around the elemental country never wondered if there would be life beyond space until now. I was unconscious at first, then I was encountered by Kami, Shinigami, and Yami in my mindscape. They told me about their offer of being their avatar. Kushina was in total shock that her son was gifted on being the goddess's avatar, but continued to listen to his story. However, I must sacrifice one thing in order to take that position. What was you had to sacrifice? As Naruto-kun, Narumi said, worried what he gave up. I had to give up my heritage of being an Uzumaki Namikaze, and the reason I accepted it is because I was never treated like one. Saying these things caused them both to break down crying, knowing that they lost their chance to become a family. Revan put both of his hands on their shoulders, which caused them to look up at him, causing them to blush again seeing Revan's irresistible face. But does not mean I hate you, you two truly loved, meaning that maybe we could at least get to know each other better. Kushina and Narumi wiped the tears from their eyes, smiling that he was willing to give them a chance, that they hug him and saying thank you over and over again. I'm going to stay on my ship for the night. Tell my family when you get back to Tezuna's house. They nodded as Revan called a clone trooper to escort them out of the ship, where Revan looked outside, seeing that it was getting dark. He turned to Narumi, who had a sad smile before they were about to leave. Revan spoke up, you know, Tsunami isn't my only wife. I am allowed to have more than just one, for goddesses granted me a new bloodline that must be restored. This caused Narumi to lighten up, for she may have a chance to be with him, and it doesn't matter if she has to share him with others, as long she is with him. Kushina and Narumi both left the Star Destroyer, leaving Naruto alone looking outside, noticing that it was getting dark out. Maybe I should meditating in the forest tonight will help me rest, Revan said to himself, heading out to the forest. Somewhere around Wave Country, Revan meditated in the forest, not caring about anything. He sees a person presence heading his way. He saw a young girl in a pink sleeveless yukata with a smile on her face. Why we're sleeping in the forest, you could catch a cold. Just meditating. By the way, what are you doing here? Revan asked the smiling girl. I'm picking herbs that can cure injuries and illnesses. The young girl said. What are you training for? Haku said, trying to avert the subject so as not to be caught. I am training to help out my country. Haku was mentally taken aback by his words, but she knew all too well that this young man was the emperor. She heard rumors of soldiers captured Zabuza that day ago and almost killed him. Anyway, don't you have a family that's worried about you? Revan asked her in question. She then told her story from the past, making sure that this was the person she heard about. I'm too lazy to write it. As the story, Revan was angry. He couldn't believe Sam had go through something similar to him. Then the young woman got up and took her basket in hand, leaving. Then Revan then stood up and said, by the way, I'm Revan, Darth Revan. The young woman stopped for a while and turned around, glaring at him as she pulled out a kunai. Is there something wrong? Revan said to her with confusion on his face. You commanded your army to capture Zabuza, didn't you? Haku said in anger. But of course he was a menace to Wave. He tried to kill my wife's father to gain money, and since you said that you had a precious person, I assumed that it's Zabuza and that you're a hunting nin just like him, is that correct? He treated me like I was his own daughter. I had no other choice than to follow him. She then realized what she was doing was wrong, making people's lives suffer, making her ashamed of herself that she brought tears in her eyes. Would you like to see him? Revan said, offering her hand. Yes, thank you. By the way, my name is Haku, she said, wiping her tears away as she held his hand. She blushed, followed the emperor where he kept Zabuza. Star Destroyer holding cells. Inside a cell was Zabuza sitting on his bed with hands tied behind his back by strange handcuffs that cancel out his chakra from doing any type of jutsus. Revan invented these just in case a ninja teleport or summon someone to escape. His cell door opened to reveal two people, one of them being Haku and the emperor. Zabuza-sama, Haku shouted as she jumped into Zabuza's arms, crying on his shoulder, happy that her master was safe. It's alright, Haku-kun, they haven't done anything but strip me of my weapons, and this restraints or whatever are keeping me from channeling my chakra ether way I fine. He said, calming her down until he turned his head at the hooded figure. And what's with you? I heard your men have been hunting us, and for what? He asked, wanting to know what he was planning. I want to know where Gato is so that I end his ruling of Wave, but answer me this, why would you work for him? We needed the money for ourselves. It's tough in this world, where there's nothing but death and betrayal. We only trust is ourselves, even though it was wrong we had to make a living. Revan knew how hard life can be growing up, but he knew people can change their ways. What if I have an offer for the both of you, a deal better than this? You work for me instead of Gato, you can help others and join to fight for good. Haku and Zabuza thought about it. This can be the start of a whole new life ahead of them. And I want you to do something for me before you join me. What is that? Lead Gato and all of his men to the unfinished bridge, that's so I can kill him and all of his tyrants. Haku looked at Zabuza, thinking about what his answer will be. We both accept your deal. We hated working for him from the start, he said, smirking under his mask. Revan understood him. He pressed a button next to the Zabuza's cell, where a clone trooper came running to Revan, saluting him, saying, my lord. I want you to bring this prisoner's belongings here immediately. We got new allies joining us, he said to the trooper. Yes, my lord, the soldier saluted, running to get Zabuza's equipment. Revan turned around facing the masked ninja and the girl. He pulled out a key from his pocket, then released Zabuza's restraints, thus letting him go. After doing that, Revan lifted his hand to Zabuza, giving him a handshake. Welcome to the Empire, my friends. After the conversion, Zabuza and Haku were getting ready for their first assignment to tell Gato that now was the time to take the village. While they were doing that, Revan came back to Tizuna's house to find Team 7 leaving with Tizuna. What's going on here? Revan asked. Where are they going? We are going escort Tizuna to the bridge and protect him and his workers. Very well, but just to let you know, I'm sending some of my squad too. Until he was interrupted by a breeding Uchiha. I don't need any help from your army's help. I'm an Uchiha, I can take on anything. By the way, I command you to hand over your weapon, it's wasted on you, he said to Revan person, thinking he was crazy. Are you treating me boy? You are calling boy. I am Uchiha, I am the last of my clan, and I deserve what is rightfully mine. And if I refuse, then I will take your whore of a wife. When he said that, the whole entire room began to hard to breath. Everyone looked at the source to see Revan with a dark aura of power flowing. Revan slowly raised arm with a gripping hand. Sasuke began to feel like someone was shocking him. He was also levitating from the ground, still holding his neck, causing everyone except Inari, who went to work with him, seeing how he interrogating Gato's men Kushina and Narumi, never knew how powerful Naruto was. Let's get one thing straight, Uchiha, you have no right to demand anything from me. If you're thinking of asking me for training, you can forget. You only want this for power, and it will only lead you into a dark path that can take your life. Revan looked at him dead in the eyes and continued to talk. And if you ever talk to my wife or anybody who I care about, Revan continued, about to close his grip, causing Sasuke more pain, grabbing what to be assumed to be choking him. I will break your neck, you understand, he said to the Uchiha, who couldn't even talk. I will take that as a yes. Revan laid down his arm, making the Uchiha fall down on the ground, gasping for air while holding his neck. Why you do that to Sasuke-kun? Sakura shouted at Revan. You want to be next? Sakura quickly shook her, not wanting to be choked to death. Then let's get going, he said as everyone stared, heading to the bridge until Tsunami grabbed his arm, making him turn around as Tsunami kissed Revan on the lips. Be careful out there, when you come back I have news that you will like. I'll see you soon, Revan said as he rushed to catch up with the ninja. Tsunami stayed inside with Inari only she saw him running along. Inari told her that he was going to go outside for training. She nodded, rubbed her stomach blushing as she thought to herself, I wonder what are we going to name you. She smiled wondering how her husband will react, but she knew that he will be shocked from the news, but it will be worth it and funny to see his face. Wave Country Bridge construction site. Team 7, Tazuna and Revan arrived at the bridge only to see Zabuza and Haku. Behind them were Gato himself standing behind him were his thugs and mercenaries with sharp and dangerous weapons. It's look you were right Zabuza, there are no soldiers guarding the bridge, now that not our problem anymore, this village is our right for the taking. After he said Gato's man raised their weapons into the air as they shouted a battle cry preparing to attack making Team 7 get into their battle stance, but what they didn't accept was Revan walking forward until he stopped at the middle, putting his hands behind his back looking at Zabuza and Haku. Zabuza, Haku, I see that you made your promise to me bringing him to me. Everyone except Zabuza and Haku was confused what he said. Zabuza, Haku, what is he talking about, what you promised bringing me here to him? Zabuza turned around facing Gato smirking that he was about to tell him. We quit Gato, we have been hired by a new person to bring you here to your death, he said as him and Haku disappeared, then appeared next to Revan. You backstabbing bastards, you betrayed me, but no matter, I wasn't even going to pay you anyway, seeing as how you were defeated by a bunch of brats. I realized my mistake in hiring you and that unless girl of yours. What he just said angered Zabuza, but Revan was most offended what Gato just said about Haku being useless. Now my men kill everyone in the entire village, but leave the women alive, they will make fine sex slaves for us to pass the time. As he said that all of his men charged at the ninja and Revan getting into fighting stance, but Revan raised his hand back telling the others to stay out of this. I will handle this, Revan said as he made 20 hand signs, and at the end he raised both of his arms water style. Hands of Poseidon, trying to make new types jutsus, making 2 pillars of water shot from the sea, forming humongous hands that grabbed every last one of Gato's goons, leaving Gato all by himself. After the goons were captured, both pillars of water holding the tyrants crashed together making sphere of water. Now that your pitiful men are trapped in a prison of water, I think it's time to end them, he said in anger. He shouted out for his left levitating the water sphere, but on his right was glowing of light blue electricity coming from his fingertips. Kakashi saw his power and noticed that he never used any hand signs to create whatever he just did. His attack is similar to my lighting blade, he didn't use any hand signs. I must ask him who trained him, so that Sasuke can get strong, oh please give a break. Revan thrust his hand at the levitating water prison, releasing a stream to lightning at the thugs, thus electrocuting them with water. Their bones shaking uncontrollable and couldn't breathe at the same time. Revan looked at the thugs as they're choking and electrocuted to their death until all of a sudden their bodies didn't move. Revan stopped his force lighting and dropped his left hand, using his force levitating ability on the water prison, causing it to fall down on the bridge. The water sphere splashed and floated off the bridge and landed at the sea, then floated away with the dead corpses. Revan looked at Gato see as he was scared shitless that he pissed himself. Revan continued to walk, where Gato assumed he was going to be next. Gato quickly turned around and stared to run, but he noticed something wrong, he was still at the same spot where he stood. He looked down and saw his legs moving in a running motion and was off the ground. Wait, Gato pleaded, let me live, I'll give you anything you want, money, land, everything I have, just don't kill me. You killed a man named Kaiza, did he ever beg not to be killed? Revan said in a dead tone, causing Gato to go pale. You were responsible for his death, and not only that, used this people as slaves, you deserve to die. But that said, Revan's army arrived at the scene. 4 of the clones surround Gato, pointed their blasters at his head. What is your orders, sir? One of Revan's commanders asked him. I want you to search his mind, find anything that belonged to these people, deeds, money, hideouts, anything, I want to know every secret of his. As you wish, sir. 2 of the men garbed one arms to bring him to the Star Destroyer to interrogate, but Revan stopped for a minute. Also, after he is done interrogating him, his death will be a slow and painful. Take him to the rack, that's right, I'm bringing the Sotrap back, that asshole drivers to die. As you wish, my lord. The 2 clones took Gato away where he meets his end. Revan, what is the rack exactly? Sakura asked in question when Revan gave her an answer. Let's just say it will twist his arms and legs one by one slowly and painfully. I did promise the villagers he would revive a slow painful death, I am a man of my word. The whole group returned back to the village, only to see the entire civilians were cheering for the group that stopped Gato, but their cheering was for Revan, who brought peace and protected villagers from the start. The children of Wave ran past the ninja confused what they ran for until they see them tackle Revan to the ground where the kids are stars in their eyes asking questions. You are awesome, Mr. Revan. Thank you for protecting us. Revan rubbed the back of his head sheepishly saying I did what felt right, saying to children walking along with them back to their parents, where H began to talk again. People of Wave Country Gato is no more witched caused everyone to cheer for Revan, saying his name over and over again. Also I told my men to look for all your belongings that will return to their right owners, it will bring back the glory to your village. This brought everyone to tears that they know they will not fear from thugs or from anything else. After was settled Team 7 were ready to leave, Narumi asked Revan if he wanted to return to the hidden village to stay with them, but Revan refused. He said there are others that suffered more than just him and he needed help them out. Narumi and Kushina were saddened by this, but Revan gave her a communicator to catch in touch with her, or if anything goes wrong. This brought them to a small smile, knowing that he still cares for both their safety and willing to give them another chance. Revan, Haku, Zabuza, and Revan family waved goodbye to Team 7 who left the village. Revan then turned to Zuna and said, so what are you going to name the bridge? Tazuna-san. Tazuna placed his hand on his chin and thought on what to call it until Inari beat him to it. How about we call it the Great Revan Bridge? Inari said. That sounds like a great idea, Tsunami said, looking at her son smiling as her husband ruffled his hair. Tsunami was about to tell Revan about the news until his communicator was beeping from his belt. Revan activated his communicator to see Proxy. What news do you have for me, Proxy? Revan asked his robotic friend on the search for the 8 Jinchuriki. I have succeeded on finding the Jinchuriki, Lord Revan. They have all agreed on message, however they brought their guards, 2 for each one. They won't go without them because they don't trust others. Revan understood and replied, very well, they may bring their guards along. Where is your location, Proxy? I'll be on my starfighter heading back to the Death Star and call in another Star Destroyer to pick you and the rest of them. Oh, I almost forgot, I'm bringing 2 friends along. So what is your location? They told me we are in place called the Valley of the End. Revan heard about that place where 2 of the most powerful ninjas that fought an epic battle here read from past family's library when he was alone when his parents are training Narumi. Very well, stay with until my men get there. With that he shot off his communicator and turned to Tsunami. You wanted to ask me something. Tsunami looks at Revan as she grabbed his hand and placed it on her stomach, which got Revan confused, not knowing on what she was doing. Revan-san, we are going to have a child, she said, closing her eyes with a huge blush on her face, not knowing how Revan will react. Revan didn't know how to react to this. He faced many challenges and never once thought them of being difficult, but now that his wife is pregnant, there was only one thing he can do. Her old eyes back started to fall backwards. He fainted, causing Inari and Tazuna to burst of laughter. Tsunami bonked both of their heads, making them clutching their heads in pain. Chapter end. Chapter 7, Getting to know one another. The day was the day that Revan goes back to the Death Star with Zabuza and Haku that he recruited. After he woke up from his shock of Tsunami's pregnancy, he was thrilled that he was going to be a father, but he knows he will have to face the wrath of the 3 goddesses if they found out that one of Revan's wives is carrying his child, and they properly want little Revan's, which caused Revan to pale and shiver at the thought of it. Inari was happy with the news because he will have a little brother or sister to train with and have fun together. Revan stood on a wooden platform with Zabuza and Haku next to him. Behind him was his family. As of right now, Revan was surrounded by the entire villagers where he was giving them a speech. Attention, people of Wave Country, Revan said, getting their attention. I have great news for you all. I am leaving to continue helping others by finding new allies to bring Theseus' world a peace. At first the people appalled for his speech, but then their children stared to tear up for their hero was leaving. Revan looked at the kids and continued to speak. Let me finish, I never said I won't come back, I will still stop by visit anytime, he said, getting the children to smile again, wiping their tears away. As I recall, this village has no leader, which I have the perfect person for the job. He turned head and looked at his son Inari. He waved his hand back and forth, telling him to come over where he is standing. Inari walked up next to him as Revan put a hand on his shoulder, then turned back to the crowd. My son is training so that he may protect you, even though he is not in that age to let, he will keep on training. And I know that he will make all of us proud. With that said, everyone in the entire village cheered out loud for their soon-to-be leader. Tazuna and Tsunami were proud on how Inari was going to grow up to be as strong like his previous father. Inari could not believe what he just heard. He could only do was stare at his father's face smiling at him. Revan got down on one knee and put both of his hands on Inari's shoulders. I just know that you will become a great leader to this people. When your new brother or sister arrives, I want to see the both of you train side by side. Let the love of your precious people give you strength, and when you do that you can accomplish anything. Focus in the force, it will guide you. Can you do that for me, son? Inari let out a signal teardrop fall from his eye. He lifted his arm and placed it on his forehead, where Revan sees him saluting him. I'll do my very best to make proud Tucson. Revan nodded and began to speak again. I am also letting my guards stay here, just in case any trespassers or tyrants invade this village. Let it be known that you are being protected. If they have a problem with us, they have a problem with all of us. The entire crowd cheered for Revan. Man was raising their hands into fists up and down. Children and women were clapping as loud as they can, for everything was going to go for the better. Wave Country docks. Revan was getting ready to return the Death Star on his starfighter, while Zabuza and Haku were going to the Star Destroyer to where the 8 Jinchuriki that Revan's droid is. Revan was about to leave by making sure his ship was in order until Tsunami gave him embracing with a hug from behind him. "I'm going to miss you." Revan turned around and returned the hug. He leaned his face near hers, giving her a passionate kiss that made her knees weak. "I'm going to miss you too, but I need you to stay here and look out for Inari and your father. If anyone can look out for them is you, knowing how your father is with his sake, and now our son is training on his own to be just like me." Tsunami understood the second part, but the first got her to giggle and laugh. "And then there is our child," Revan said as he placed his hand on her stomach. "I'll come back for you all. You'll be safe on my home where no one will harm us. I know you will protect us, just be safe." "I will." Revan gave her a quick kiss and put on his helmet on, covering his entire face. He jumped on his starfighter. He started on the ignition. The ship started to lift off from the ground, heading up to the sky. When it was finally high up, it blasted off into space. Everyone who was saying goodbye to their hero were amazed that ship vanished without a trace. The Star Destroyer where Zabuza and Haku were in was also taken off. Zabuza was scared at first when he got in. When the ship started lifting up, he looked out the window, seeing how high up they were. His face started to look pale like a ghost that he'd been shocked to see. Haku was actually excited to see as how they were ready to fly off to their destination, and the second part she likes about this was that every person's dream is to fly. They both took their seats until they heard Revan on the intercom. "Listen you guys, I'm going back to my home while you two are meeting up with the 8 Jinchuriki." When he said that, it shocked both the Mist Ninja. "Wait, why you are gathering Jinchuriki for allies?" Zabuza asked in question, wanting to know what he was planning. "I don't want them to suffer just like I have, people treating them like dirt, thinking that they are demons that deserve to die. But I am going to prove to them that they are wrong, and you will understand why I want to help them," he responded as the intercom shut down. Zabuza and Haku knew what he meant. It's hard when people treat like you like a monster, and people want nothing more than just to kill them for their own benefits, without giving them a chance to know each other. They trusted Revan's words and decided just to go with it. Meanwhile at the Valley of the End. "Why have you brought us to this place?" a tall man said, wearing red heavily type-like armor covering his entire body, including half of his face that emerges steam from inside. He also wears a white cloth which covered both sides of his face, wears a conical straw hat. "I agree with my brother Han. Why bring all of us to this place? We are all just strangers," said a red hair man with mustache and a beard wearing a large headpiece that is the shape of a three-pointed crown. "It'd be a lot more easier since some Jinchuriki live in the same village, they have a lot in common, and that they have friends that look out for them, they would consider them like family." "Thank you Rashi. My master wishes for you all to be safe from the Akatsuki, for they are too powerful for you to handle on your own," the droid said to the 8 Jinchuriki and their followers. "Yes, we heard his message on you communicator, but what does your emperor want from us? There has to something going on than wanting to just protect us, and what's with these other ninjas with us? How will we know if we can trust them?" said a girl, blonde hair tied to a ponytail. "Yo, my sister is right. How will we know if these fools are tight, you fool? I'm not good with the whole raping and all, but I'll try my best to make it sound like him." A dark-skinned man with muscular build wearing oval-shaped glasses raped out loud, making everyone except for Proxy sweat, dropped on how his rap sounded terrible, which earned him a bonk to the head by his sister. "Damn you Jito, why you gotha hate my words? If you keep hitting in the head the sooner I'll see birds." He raped out, which got bonked in the head to the ground, making his body twitching. "It serves you right from trying to make my ears bleed with your annoying raping," Yujito shouted at his twitching brother. "She is right, Lord Killer B. It would be best if you practice your rhymes in another time, right?" See a dark-skinned boy teen wearing the same attire from B, only to have a no-sleeve black jacket under it. "Of course Derry C responded sheepishly, not wanting to cause B more pain. "Anyway, as I was saying, I think it would be best if you hear from my master in person," Proxy said to everyone. "Let's just get this over with, I don't have time for being annoyed by idiots," said boy with red hair and raccoon-like eyes that sees only death and despair to wherever he goes. The way he said got everyone to look at him, seeing how his expression is showing that he had the eyes of someone who has seen death. They all knew how hard it was living the life of being a demon, where no cares either they live or die, and losing the ones that protect you, but they have brothers, sisters, or friends that look out for them like they are a family to them, but they want to know what his story was. "Hey Gara, do you think you can ease up a little? I'm not ordering you, just asking," said a makeup kid who said in a nervously voice. "Shut up Kankuro or I will kill you myself," Gara said in a emotionless tone without looking at him. "Why yes Gara, we promise not to anger you, right Tamari?" Kankuro said nervously, trying to get sister on the same boat here. "Yes Kankuro, we promise to you Gara that we will stay out of your way," Tamari told Gara, trying not to get on his bad side. The other Jinchuriki had thoughts about this Gara they heard interesting things about him, how he always comes back from a mission without any scars or damage, but he was cold to everybody. They were cut from their thoughts when Proxy interrupted them. "It would seem that our transportation has arrived." Everybody turned their heads towards the droid, but then the ground started shaking, causing everyone except Proxy trying to balance their stance. They looked at the sky only be in awe for they see a triangle size like ship floating down upon them. It was almost the size of their villages but were a lot bigger. Everyone I bring the Star Destroyer everyone in the group was in shock because they assumed that this aircraft can destroy stars. They were about to ask the strange looking droid about the ship, however Proxy beat them to it. If you are all wondering about why it is called the Star Destroyers, well it is also informally referred to as an Imperial cruiser, meaning it can take us to faraway places that nobody has ever seen before in the galaxy. Now everyone even Gara had their eyes wide, this ship can take them higher up into space. Now with that said I think we all should hurry, don't want to keep Master Revan waiting. His name is Revan Proxy, a mint green-haired light dark-skinned girl asked him in question. Yes Lady Fu, he is the emperor to the entire galaxy in fact he was the one that found my body and repaired me, now I am all new. If it wasn't for him you all wouldn't be here right now. Wait he found your body and said that he repaired you. This time a feminine voice spoke from Yujito and Killer Bee's group who had Bob-style blonde hair with the front bangs reaching her shoulders. Indeed for I am a prototype holodroid I can transform into any kind of person and copy their abilities, fighting style and their information. Copying sounds more like the Uchiha said Utakata, who remembered Itachi from the bingo book that he seen before. Your body seems lifeless like a puppet just like my crow, only better Kankuro said with a little jealousy see as how this Revan person had a much better one. No I am not what you say a puppet, it is true I am a lifeless being, but I am a mechanical droid have an unlimited supply of power that keeps me going, I can even take of my own head off, and I will still be alive Proxy said to everyone by showing them what he meant. Proxy placed his mechanical hand on his head and easily pulled apart his head from his body. See Proxy said while looking at everybody's expressions being shocked and freaked out at the same time. Whoa, I don't know whether to be freak out or sick, how are feeling Shizuka Haderu said to her partner. I'm fine Haderu Shizuka replied back at her sounding a little depressed. By sound of your voice it tells a different a male with a calm and cool voice spoke out of turn. Are you thinking about the law from your home village are you? Utakata Haderu whispered at the Malinin not wanting to upset her teammate. No it's okay, he's right ever since Ajiri died, you two saved me from Kikuyu's grasp, and I decide to follow both of you leaving the village behind. I just been feeling anything right now, I promised my mentor right before I left the village that I look for this Jiraiya's student Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze and challenge him in a fight for my hand in marriage. Both Haderu and Utakata looked at her with a little bit of sadness on how life can be unfair, but no matter they will find a way to make things right. However they didn't notice the training droid hearing the entire conversation. The black-haired female ninja has to fight Master Revan for marriage, well this will be surprising for him when he finds out about this. The Star Destroyer hatch from the bottom started to open by letting out air from the inside of the ship. Okay everyone to Lord Revan Palace we go Proxy announced to everyone to get aboard. When everyone onto the Star Destroyer they were amazed on what inside of the ship looked like there were lights on the buttons and switches everywhere. The floor was so clean that they can even see their own reflection. But the thing that got their attention were the men wearing strange type of armor, it covered like every part of their body, they carried strange looking that seemed to be like small cannons. The other thing that got to them were the ones that weren't equipped with any armor, but wore matching uniforms, however what shocked the ninja group were their faces, all of their faces were exactly the same, but they were different, some of the men had different types of haircuts, they would have buzz cuts, shaved heads, and mohawks, but now was not the time to ask questions. Proxy escorted the Jinchuriki and their followers to the cockpit where they see two people, but one person from the group recognized the both of these two sitting at the cockpit. Zabuza, Haku, what are you doing here, said a man that had grey hair pink pupil-less eyes with scar on the left side that have stitches, despite his height of a childlike appearance he is an adult. He wields what resembles a large hook-ended, with one end being larger than the other. It also had a green flower on the larger end of the staff, yeah and this fanfiction Yagura is no controlled by Madara. Both of the chairs turned around to reveal the two missing ninja hidden in the mist. Lord Mizukage Haku jumped out off her chair, then bowed on one knee, showing her respect to her leader. As for Zabuza he was looking green, still sitting on the rotating chair, with what seems to be a trash can carrying it with both of his hands, and the bandages covering his mouth were untied, exposing his shark-like mouth. I ask again, why are you both here, last I heard that you both work for Gato. Haku was about to respond when someone from Yagura group interrupted them. Wait you know this too Lord Mizukage one of Yagura's followers said. The one who spoke has light blue spiked up hair, his mouth has the same type of shark teeth as Zabuza's, and wears glasses. Yagura turned his bodyguards. Know them, they're my friends Shijuro when they saved me from a masked man who tried to manipulate me. I could not find out who was behind that mask, but I believe he was after my tail beast, for I do not know what he wanted with, but I know it can't be good. Yagura turned back to Zabuza and Haku and began to continue speaking. Before I was about to be controlled by that masked man, these two came in and saved me. We managed to escape, but Team Kiri Ninja jumped in and started throwing multiple shuriken at the both of them. I commanded them to stop, but they ignored me. They chased them out of the village. I ordered them to tell me why they chased them out. They told me that I have been gone for a while and that it worried the people of the mist. The other part is that Zabuza and Haku are missing. They assumed that they are the ones responsible of my disappearance. I had my ninjas go out to search for them, but none have returned with news of their location. Wait, Haku said, getting Yagura's attention. However, Zabuza was still throwing up on the trash can. You were looking for us. We thought the Kiri that were looking for us was going to kill us. I would never kill the people who just saved my life. After all of us meet this Emperor Revan person will return back to the village and I will tell everyone what you done for me. Eika stood up and said thank you Mizukichi. Yagura held his hands, waving his hands left and right. It's alright Haku, once we all return home the better. Yagura then looked at Zabuza. And thank you Zabuza, which got him to nod slowly right before he started to vomit again. Listen, Proxy said, getting their attention. I would advise everyone to take your seats, for we're about to prepare for takeoff. The floor panels slide off to the left and what came out from under them were black leather seats with seatbelts on them. Everyone got settled in their seats except for Kankuro, who was still amazed at the ship. Excuse me Mr. Kankuro, it would be best advice if you were to take your seat, Proxy said to him, hoping that he would listen. Come on, you said this can fly, but the way I saw this ship landed, I bet the trip will take long. Very well, Commander Cody, prepare to jump to light speed. Yes Master Proxy. Cody turned to the clones that control the ship. He gave them a nod which signals them to start the Star Destroyer. Kankuro, I think I listen to the metal person if I were you, Kankuro's sister Tamari said to her brother, not wanting to do anything stupid. Relax Tamari, what's the worst thing that can happen? Before she can reply she felt like everything around her was moving. The ship is now turning away from the Valley of the End and the ship was pointing straight at the sky. Brace yourselves everyone, Proxy said, warning everyone who do not know what is going to happen. Kankuro simply rolled his eyes back and mumbled, saying this is ridiculous. Without any warning the Star Destroyer blasted off into space. Ah, Kankuro screamed out loud as he was being pulled back by the speed of ship. He was slammed to the wall. There was too much speed that Kankuro is unable to move any part of his body. The others have tightened their grips on their belts for dear life so they won't end up just like the Sand Ninja's team member. In space near the Death Star. After a minute or so the Star Destroyers carrying the 8-Jinchuriki have finally made it to their destination. The ship came to a complete halt that it made Kankuro fall down to the ground, leaving an imprint of Kankuro's body. Tamari took off her seatbelt from her chair and rushed to her brother to help him up. The other Jinchuriki had thoughts on the trip. That was so awesome, I wonder if I can ask that Proxy person for another ride, Fu thought with excitement. For an emperor who has a flying ship that can fly, I have to admit this is one fast transportation vehicle, Utakata thought as he is impressed. Ughan groaned, holding his head in pain. He then held his hand on his mask, making it a little loose. Whatever made this thing go fast made it hard to breathe under my mask. Oh dear, Kamirashi said in shock, clutching on his seatbelt. For once I thought for one I saw my life flashed before my eyes. Whoa, what a ride, Killer B said in his mind. He took out something from his back pocket, what seems to be a little dark green notebook that has a title that says Best Rhymes Book. I can properly use the speed from this ship for my best rhyme of all time. Yujito groaned, looking at her brother. Not only is he only unbelievable, but now I am afraid of incredible speed now. This trip is starting to annoy me, Gara thought, emotionless. But mother wants this Revan person's blood and I will do just that to prove my existence. Everyone, we have reached our destination, Proxy said to the ninjas who are regaining their strength. They picked themselves up and wondered where Proxy taken them. Everyone looked through the window only to be shocked for what they seen. Oh my Kami, what is that thing, Yujito said, not believing what she is seeing right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Death Star. To them they see what seems to be a grayish circular sphere that has colors mixing with white and gray. It also has large deep circle-shaped spiderweb. From where they are seeing it is that it looked like a giant eyeball. Everybody was at awe, for they have seen something that looks impossible. Your emperor's home is on that moon, Hotaru said to Proxy to see if he was lying. But not the moon, Mrs. Hotaru, Proxy corrected her, that's a space station. The what Tamari spoke, for she didn't know or what a space station is. The space station, this where my master works on planes, helping everyone in their dire of need. It also what you people would call a headquarters. The group followed the droid's words exactly. This emperor person is like a Hokage who does a lot of paperwork, pays their team for a successful mission, and if there is anything that will be a disturbances that can cause an emergency situation, their leader will fight alongside them. Igura understood what it means to be a leader, but the one thing he did not like about being the leader of an entire village was the amount of paperwork his assistants keep piling all over his desk. He wished that someone else would take his job and that he will never see another stack of paper ever again. Luckily he had someone to deal with that problem while he is gone. They were getting closer and closer to the space station. When they were about near it, the ship turned away from the Death Star for a see-through extended from the space station and was inserted into the Star Destroyer entrance. The Jinchuriki, Zabuza, Proxy, and Haku exited from the shuttle and were now entering the Death Star, for they are prepared to meet the Emperor himself, except Zabuza and Haku who have already met him. Somewhere in a cave back on Earth. What do you mean you can't find the Jinchuriki containers, said a holographic man who had spiked up hair, and his eyes are purple with black rings around its pupilu. Know what everyone already knows, every person in the Akatsuki, so I'm not going to descript them. I'm sorry, it's just I don't want to miss classes, and I mostly never get any sleep. It's that we don't know where they are, we can't even find their chakra signature around anywhere, it's like they vanished the earth without a trace, Kakuzu said in a demon-like voice, making a point. Well, what about the nine-tailed fox on Konoha? Haiden said, joining in the conversation. That's a stupid idea. As long as the fourth Hokage is still there, we might as well change our cloaks that have a red target once we step one foot into that village, Sasori said, plainly looking at Dadara. Oh, you have a better idea. At least I'm not the one that is sitting my ass on the floor playing with my dolls. Shut up, Dadara, your art of an explosion is nothing but a disappointment to us all. You were even about to blow yourself by accident, yet I still can't believe that Itachi took you down over a small genjutsu. Silence, Dadara shouted back at Sasori. Predictable as always, acting cocky as usual. Didn't all that acting almost cost you your own life? Kisame said with a smirk on his face, remembering the time of Dadara's insinuation of joining the Akatsuki, only to be humiliated by Itachi, who placed a genjutsu on Dadara, making it look like he had the upper hand. Everyone in the organization stared to argue with one another until Pain interrupted them. Enough, Pain said loudly, making everyone postpone their argument. We will all wait until the time is right. As long as the fourth Hokage is in command alongside with the two Sannin, we can't win this fight. They will overwhelm us, giving us a disadvantage. For now we will figure out a way to come up with a plan. Everyone settled down and nodded to their leader and decided to form a plan on what they shall do. Konoha Council meeting. What are going to do now, Lord Hokage? Ever since you were divorced by Kushina Uzumaki, she has gained all of her clan's jutsus and belongs. That should have been rightfully ours, said a fat, slightly bald councilman, yelled out. And that your son is nowhere to be found after that whole party incident that you caused, making him leave by upsetting him, Tsume said while glaring at Minato. You people still love that demon after what he has done to our beloved village by causing nothing but destruction and chaos, said a female loudmouth Haruno. You council members are nothing troublesome, it was not the child's fault, but Kyuubi's the head of the Nara clan, Shikaku Nara said, glaring slightly at the current Hokage. I speak for the other clan heads when I say that the Inyazuka head makes a valid point. Every clan head nodded, except two for the Hidden Leaf elders who were at uproar. Both the clan heads and the council argued for a brief moment until Minato stood up to end this rubbish. Enough, Minato shouted out, making everyone stop the arguing, making them look directly at him. Everyone but the elders, please leave the meeting. We will pick this up on another day, he said in a commanding voice. All the clan head lifted themselves from their seats and left the room. They still can't believe that that fact is that he does not care about his son, for who knows where he might be. The clan heads left the room, however Tsume stayed behind the door to listen to the rest of the conversation, finding out what is Minato planning. So are you still going with the plan for the Chunin exam? Lord Hokage said, male being coming from out of the shadows. The male being revealed himself, wearing bandages from his head to his right eye. Wait a minute, is that Danzo I hear? Tsume thought to herself, why that ungrateful bastard wants. And what plan was he talking about? Yes, Danzo, it will soon go as planned. Even Thunarumi is no longer my daughter. It doesn't mean she must still follow my rules. She will not be entering the exams, but she will be a prize to the winner of it. Tsume was shocked beyond belief. Minato is using Narumi as a trophy to who wins the Chunin exam, but for what cause? She will be the wife of the person who wins on the finals, is that correct? A female Haruno asked. That is correct, Danzo replied back to her. And I will use the newborn as a weapon. And I know that without a fact that it will be Sasuke Uchiha that will win this exam and take Narumi's hand in marriage when he wins. Of course, Minato said, smirking at how the plan is formed, and the best part about the plan is that the Fire Daimyo can't do a thing about it, for by law, that the day a clan heir is born, they must be married by a male clan head who is worthy of having her, as long it is for the good of their village. There is also one thing that is also missing in that plan, Homura said, finally getting their attention. And what is that? Kaharu said, wanting to know what is the flaw to this plan. Kushina and Makoto, Homura said, making them realize the flaw. There is no doubt she will protect her daughter from us and that she will leave the village with her. And there is Makoto Uchiha, who is the last of the Uchiha clan. Sasuke can't give breed on his own. Everyone thought on how this can be solved until Minato had an idea. For my former wife, when she arrives at the finals, I will sneak behind her and knock her out, and when no one is looking I will place the loyalty seal on the back of the neck. The Hidden Leaf elders nodded, but Danzo wanted to know what will come from Makoto. As for Makoto, Minato continued with his plan. She will be married to the strongest ninja in this village. However, if she refuses to participate in this, she will be sent to a breeding factory where she will give birth to the next generation of the Uchiha. Is everyone clear about on how this is going to work? Minato finishes what he just said, making the not understanding how it is going to turn out. Then you are all dismissed. Everyone got out from seats and left the room. Tsume quick lifted her head from the door, ran out. This is not good. I have to warn Kushina and Makoto about this. Chapter end. What if Naruto lived with Kami and Shinigami harem? Thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.